precipitation of any sort.
Is our
Wind-
60-degree weather, is that above normal, below normal?
Oh, what's the temperatures?
Is our high temperatures above
Those-
or below normal?
They are near to slightly above normal. Mm-hmm.
James, I wanted to ask you, do you know a gentleman named Brian Bledsoe by any chance? Have you ever heard of Mr. Bledsoe and his Weather 5280?
I think I've heard that name some time
Hey,
ago.
this guy, he did a presentation over at the annual water seminar with Southwest Water Conservation District in Durango last week, and I'll tell you, this guy is all over the globe. I mean, he's got ocean temperatures, cells in the ocean. He goes with the Japanese, like the Modokai, El Nino, and different. He's all over the globe, and if you would have any interest in maybe getting on, he does a webcast and all kinds of stuff where you can get on and see what his predictions are, but he's predicting all this, the exact weather we've got because of a hot spot in the Pacific Ocean that's moved in off the northwest coast up there that's blocking and making this big high pressure over the top of us and moving the jet stream away, and really sharp guy and has some unique takes on weather and where he comes about his weather.
Yeah, ocean temperatures, especially on the surface,
yeah.
they have a significant effect on global weather. Even a single
Well, that's where all our weather comes from, dry or wet, from that Pacific Ocean.
from the Pacific Ocean, yeah.
So I
Although-
just thought I'd give you a heads up that this guy's and if you'd like, I can give you his name and his website and stuff. if you want.
That's good, yeah.
Good stuff. Smart guy.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, about the only time we get Gulf of Mexico moisture is in that monsoon season.
Yeah.
We get some then, but there again, the monsoon season pretty much failed us this year. So I've come to think
Pretty
of,
much failed. This is a total wipeout.
yeah,
Pretty much a nothing.
yeah, this is true.
Horrible.
When was our significant snowfall last year? Was towards the end of December, correct?
Yeah, December, yeah, that 13, can we back up to the 13 month? You can see with that wonderful 6-month period there, starting in December.
So we
Precipitation, 200% of normal, almost 300% of normal in March. So those 6 months
Those 6 right there just put us on.
that really did good for us last year in the building up a snowpack in the winter.
Yeah. We'd like to see a repeat of that.
Indeed, yeah. Maybe this December we can break this pattern, break down that ridge, so we can get some straight west to east flows of these storms.
Yeah, we've got plenty of time. It's not over yet.
Yeah, not over yet, right? And talk about 90-day forecast.
We've taken a pretty good beating so far, but it's not over yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
These high pressure ridges, I've come to think of them as frenemies. They're a friend and they give us nice weather, but they're an enemy and they keep the precipitation away from us, so they're actually frenemies.
Okay, Mr. Anders, thank you very much for your report.
You bet.
We'll expect great things from you next month. Okay. I don't see a Spark Reed here. I don't see Spark yet. Okay, well, we'll move on to the Fairgrounds Monthly Report. I see Larry's here, and we'll have Larry come up. Morning, Larry.
I have some maps
Okay.
somewhere in this menagerie. This is where the water line part.
Oh, good.
Yeah. The green, the back pages. You always ask for the boundaries of the fairgrounds.
Oh, that's great.
It's on the map.
Good.
You're welcome. So to do the normal stuff, the 10 is 64,800. Income to date, $72,399. I finally got the Ute Mountain Rodeo to say we're good where we were at, so that improved that $12,000.
Nice.
Had commodities on the second, team roping on the second, they all went well. We're out setting up right now for the teen maze. Then the first of the 3 junior rodeos start this weekend, and then the county's wellness fair is next week. So, to get onto the water line part, that you see the map there of the dotted part is the proposed water line. If you guys see anything you'd like to change, different, move, if I put it closer to the bank, it adds about 50 feet to it, minimal. From the money that I have set up for it, I have the 2 options I have is 1 straight shot from the pump to the indoor, plus all them lines that set up for what we know is a green belt, for a total of, and this doesn't count the pump or the, see,
Pump house.
so $12,000. It doesn't include the pump. The pump that I've talked about is $5,000, and or the installation, and we can do the installation, I think, on 95% of it. So you're looking at $12,000 just in pipe and parts and to get it, and then for us to put it in the ground, depending upon weather, like 3 weeks. Give us a little bit extra time just in case. If we go with the tanks on top of the hill, I bought 2 tanks, which that one, your map doesn't show the other one. It would be just to the south of the indoor arena. And that expense would be about $30,000. That's with the tanks.
What's the capacity of the tanks?
I've talked to the guys at the tanks that are out there, is the ones I'm proposing, because we can just skid them up the hill. And I think those are like 20,000 gallons. Don't quote me on that. They haven't got back with me. I'm just going by what I've heard.
Do you have the size?
I think they're 20,000 gallons. I don't know. I haven't talked to the guys yet.
Okay.
I left email yesterday. I left a voicemail last week to get the final yes, no, maybe so.
Why do you think it would add 20,000 if we already own the tanks?
Well, if we own the tanks, then it wouldn't. This is with the tanks, because it's like, I've heard $7,000 per tank. So there's 14,000 plus adding the pipeline to get it up the hill, and then the pipe between that tank and the one that would be over there.
Is that just to create the head pressure?
Yeah.
What kind of pressure are you going to have?
We're going to end up with, and seeing the one that's way over there behind the indoor would be to water where the charging station's going to be. If I don't put a tank over there, it's only going to be, so it's 99 feet from the vault to the tank. So it'd be right about 40 to 50 pounds of pressure on that line. And the further it went north or further it went east, it's going to get less we're going to get.
So, yeah.
Would it be hard to get up that hill?
There's, over there by the racetrack, there's kind of a road that the cross-country used for the meet. So, I mean, it's pretty gradual. It would just be a dozer to drag the tanks up the hill. And I'd get with Rob and see if I could, we could work together and get equipment to skid them up there. Because they're already on skids, the ones that are there. If I could get him to commit to those ones, I could just buy 2 that are already there and 2 of the 3.
Larry, so if you just did the one, you wouldn't have enough pressure though to do the upper part, is that what you were saying?
No, because there is, from where the tank's proposed, it's 6346. And the 4-H building would be 6315, so it's about 31 feet. So you'd have about 10 to 15 pounds of pressure.
12, 15 pounds of pressure.
So there's still a possibility that we would need a booster pump.
I think what we can do is just take this drawing and actually take it and have it engineered to where we actually know exactly what the pressures are going to be to what we need to feed. That way we're not going to have a system that's halfway there because you may need a pump, like you said.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
think
here's
at this
the-
point in time, if we have the basic,
Here's the Ernie's survey of elevations at the, from there to
that's all we'll
the
need.
top of the hill and then all the way along, is what I've been going off of. And my math is just half the fall would be what your pressure would be, ballpark, give or take. If it's a 100-foot fall, it's about 50 pounds of pressure, give or take, is what you're gonna have.
correct.
So that's all I've been going off is
Size of the
this.
pipe with the main line.
And then that would change it. If we went from 6-inch, I'm thinking 6-inch. If you went to 4, you'd lose, and I forget the number they told me, but you would lose pressure just for the,
Because of
for the line friction.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking
So-
6-inch.
So why, I guess I'm at this stage of wondering why do we want to have these tanks up on the bluff to do our watering system? Is there any, I mean, and I understand we can, when we're going out of the water irrigation
Yeah.
system, we can store some water in there for
For
20 or
irrigation.
30,000, but that's really not, that's gonna be
No,
a drop in the bucket.
exactly.
compared to what so to me, the only real sensible way is to build their pump house down there and put a 6-inch line from that pump.
With the
run it
pump.
all up and run it all off that
Yeah,
pump. down there.
$20,000 to buy you a pretty nice pump.
Yeah, so.
It would
well,
just be
I'm-
storage.
Yeah.
I guess
Just
storage, yeah.
Which we really wouldn't need. I mean, after
I
you,
think after the irrigation season.
Yeah, it's done.
The growing season's over with, and
Yeah.
hopefully you'll go in there and water and soak everything up before they shut your water off.
Yeah. Yeah, I just threw out both of them so that way you have an idea what it was.
15th October.
15th of
yeah.
October.
Yeah.
That's usually, Danny, isn't that usually the goal date is the 15th of
October.
October?
It
for MBI? Yeah, and that's what. they-
Yeah.
Unless it's a drought year like year before and it was in the middle of August, but we can't do
Yeah.
anything about that, so. Okay, well, that looks like a good plan to me.
I mean, and I'm pretty sure we can do most of that. in-house.
You're headed in the right
Um,
direction. I think it's time to get water up there in that fairgrounds and start putting our water to use up there and start greening that place up and putting some stuff in out there that, playgrounds, parks, and
Yeah.
GoCo money, we're gonna dress you up out there.
That's where I proposed, like, get a playground over there with that charging
Yeah,
station.
I got you, man, I got you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, I have on here the remodel. I talked with Jim, you come out, after,
This the bathroom and the kitchen?
there's the bathroom and the kitchens.
Good.
And then he thought about, that's not it.
You got a lot going on,
I
Larry.
got,
I'll also be going over the architectural quotes with these guys
Good.
later this
Okay,
afternoon.
and after thinking about it, what you said about the breezeway,
Yeah, that portico out front?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I don't know, you might throw it out, I found some maps to give to Janine, or the lady that did the thing.
Uh-huh.
Well,
You found the prints of what we have.
Prints, they're probably, I don't know if there's more better ones somewhere else, these are pretty faded, pretty outdated, I mean, they're.
The original was all we needed,
No, they're,
so they're original, okay.
they've probably been rolling around in the office since it was built. So I don't know if she's gonna get a whole lot off of them. She's supposed to stop by on her way into here. But, so as far as this, if you wanna talk about it with her when she gets here.
It doesn't matter, you can talk about
Well,
it.
no, I mean, I was just throwing it out there, because you were wanting that one off the west side.
Correct.
To build all that, every event that we have, except the gun show, blocks off that portion of the fairgrounds. So nobody would be able to use that entrance. I mean, they can walk in and out, it looks really pretty to walk in and out of it. But every other event blocks off from, like the Ag Expo, from where the fence is, way down there by the road on the north side. Ag Expo blocks it off there. So no cars even get up to where you're proposing to build this breezeway, or
so the breezeway they go
entryway.
out of is the north one.
everybody goes out the north side. So if we could, this to that side, and then if you want to change the handicap from there out to here, you know, on the north end, get rid of them juniper trees, them telephone poles, where Tanner was always wanting to put a playground, and change that into more of a handicap parking green spot along with this irrigation. But other than the gun show, nobody's ever going to use this and they don't let cars pull up there. I mean, the county fair blocks off, just south of that fence, Racetrack Road. Ag Expo blocks off right there at Racetrack Road. Home and Garden Show, they block off right there, just at the corner of the building.
12 hours in Mesa Verde.
Birdie,
blocks off.
they block off so you can't drive over there. So, I mean, it would look really nice to have it there, but as far as
Functionality.
function and what it's gonna cost to build it there, I think it would be money ahead to put it on the north side.
And that always ices up and is a mud.
And that's why I think if we put an awning out, and even if the handicap was still in the backside, that would still be uniced underneath that breezeway. I'm just throwing it out there. I thought about it after you left, and I was like, and that's,
I think it was just a way to dress up that side of
Yeah.
the fairgrounds to give it an actual
Yeah.
entryway
And-
that it doesn't have.
yeah,
And once you create that, people are gonna figure out different ways of avenues of working
using it, yeah.
around it. Because right now it's not there, so that's why you're
yeah.
seeing that.
But, and 95% of the people that see that are gonna wanna pull up over there and go in them doors.
And
and-
that's the purpose of it.
But we're an indoor arena that has dirt, and that thing is opened every day for indoor riding.
Correct.
So there's horses, and to get a wheelchair across that dirt, if somebody wanted to come in that direction,
Yeah, that won't work.
So
Gotcha.
your north entrance is.
and that is where everybody has made everything work.
Yeah,
I mean, the Ag Expo opens that door
sure.
because they take money down there by the, north of the beef barn. And so they block that off and send the cars down the racetrack road and take their money down there, and then they get free trolley rides.
Yeah.
So everybody gets dumped off right there. So it'd look really nice to have what you're proposing, but to the extent you're proposing, I think a pretty entrance is a pretty entrance that would make it look way better. But as far as functionability, I don't think it's,
Yeah, and we can put it on paper and figure
Yeah.
out which functions the best, and then we can decide.
you know, I mean, I seen she was on the list, so I just punched this up this morning and thought, I better throw this out there before you guys really jump into the middle of,
Well, because, this is the deal, the fairgrounds was built backwards, we
Backwards.
all know that. So we're trying to put a front door on a back door.
yeah. And I mean, if it wasn't open for open riding, I mean, at any time, anybody that walks in there could get run over by a horse if they decide to go through there, and, because it is open, I said, 90% of the time with horses in there. I mean, like right now, if it was a breezeway right now, it would be perfect, because Team Maze is out there, and they only have vehicles. So it would work great for them, but out of the 50 events that we have, it probably works for 5.
I'd rather spend the money on the north side and then use the extra
Yeah,
money
we'll,
to.
Yeah,
we'll just look at it both ways.
okay, I mean, I just make sure that you guys,
And I'd hate to take out that corner that has the rock, where he was talking about the playground. Is that what you're talking about? Where the.
yeah, that, I mean, because it's a dirt, there is a playground there, but nobody ever uses it very much. My thought with building an electric car station down where I have it was to get build a playground there with it, green it up, and then we could actually either make that a green spot or put some more parking up there, since seems to be their big issue. I mean, if handicap gets busy on that east side, we usually block off that north side anyway for handicap parking. For the bigger events, we'll line them up along that rail. So that people already do use it as that anyways.
How important because I'd hate for the whole thing to be a parking lot.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So I mean, I'd like to turn that to green, to grass, to,
And also, Larry, I'd like to see us, and it may not come exactly in the time we're reconfiguring this, but I want to see some concrete or some asphalt on that north side of that building. With some in-ground.
to keep it, yeah,
thermal-
that's a bad
thermal
spot.
stuff in that, and dress that up over there where because it's the north side, it's always.
It's always
wet,
iced over.
Icy and muddy
Yep.
all the time, and I'd like to see us do something with that whole north side there to
Yeah.
clean that up and dress that north side.
There's about 4 foot of asphalt that comes off that concrete,
Yeah.
off the sidewalk,
And that's it.
and that's it. And it
that's
goes,
not
then it goes to
anywhere
dirt.
Close to enough.
No.
It needs to be about 40 feet.
Yeah, and it's just dirt after that.
And it's like a house. That's the entryway where you walk in.
Yeah,
Yep.
right, and that's where all your-
Wherever the
That's-
focal point is.
We usually throw pea gravel down when it's icy and there's a big event to go out the door so people have a place to get out of the ice. I mean, that's one way we help to fix that.
Yeah, I think that is a
And then I didn't put it on here, I forgot. Me and James talked about that uses the fairgrounds as just a meeting, the county, and say, hey, what do you think would be a big improvement, and then prioritize it and move forward with a grand plan.
You know, Larry, while you're doing that, you may reach out to the lodging committee and some of the hotels too, and you can use that indoor arena as an event center until one is built.
Yeah.
And let's get that used every
Yeah,
weekend and
especially
start
if we
bringing
get
some
that kitchen
business
and
in.
the restroom,
Yeah.
get that place fixed up and dolled up some, it absolutely will, absolutely.
But I think reaching out to everybody that uses it, everywhere from county fair to everybody, and get their perspectives, and then,
Right.
open up people can send email and say, hey, I'd like to see this, or I'd like to see this, and then move that with, and then prioritize everything. And then get a list of, we've always talked about the lights on the
We're starting on
barns.
it, buddy, we're starting on it. We got water and some
Yeah.
things coming, and just like what we're talking here, that's
Yeah.
exactly what that plan should be, is where do we wanna
To build the next,
make our steps from here forward, yeah.
because I'd like to build a barn just to hold the new stalls that we have.
Yeah.
And I'd like to
So-
build it in a place that's usable for everybody,
Yeah.
and not just,
And what would you do if we got those reefers out of there and that deep
That
freeze
could,
that
yeah.
reefer out there for the
and moved it into town.
AAA?
That-
Yeah, and move that, and
Yeah.
there's some things, so.
bathrooms. That's gonna be
Bathrooms.
number one.
Well, and that's gonna be a huge one at the outdoor. Concession stands, I always hear about how they'd like to see a concession stand instead of bringing in all these trailers, bathrooms. But from what I understood is, they said that the number of restrooms, it was the number of toilets or whatever it was gonna take to accompany that many people was just crazy. But I don't know the numbers, that was before I started, so.
Well,
I think I'd like to do that, to reach out and see what everybody
Get
thinks.
after
Because
it.
everybody has their own little,
Sure, and
Their own
get
little
their
spot.
opinions and get their thoughts, and then you put yours together.
yeah,
what you-
and then make a
what
list
you
and see what
as
we
the-
want to do.
Is the most urgent
Yeah.
and profound needs that you see out there, and come up with something.
I think the best way to get something done is if you could put a committee together.
No,
That's-
don't do a committee. Do not do a committee, Larry.
How many porta johns do they rent for the Ute Mountain Rodeo? That's your biggest event.
Just guessing outside there, it's probably 6 or 7 there. They scatter them everywhere. Well, actually, I think the 12 Hours of Mesa Verde gets close to 20 for just that one day. Ute Mountain Rodeo, I don't think they get that many, because it's over so many days. I don't think they get no more than, I think 20 is high, if I told you 20,
That's the number that I would work from to figure out how many restrooms you need.
yeah.
Well, if we tried to move ahead with those portable restrooms we looked at in those trailers,
Yeah,
we
and
had two
I
of those. I mean, there's.
and think
But
that
you know, as expensive as those things are,
you could build a nice,
build something.
I think you could
That
build
may
them.
be true, but once you build it, you're stuck right there. With these things, you can take them up to you got a big thing going on with your Ag Expo up at the main barn, then something at the outdoor arena,
Yeah.
something at the racetrack. You can haul these things down and make them function in every section of your
Yeah, they're-
fairgrounds. When you start putting them in the ground,
Our only problem with the trailers is, per se, you get, like, just say the 4 hours, Forest Stage Junior Rodeo, when a bunch of kids, they get half price. And if they use those, how do you charge them a fee to dump the,
well, I think, Larry, that's something we'll just have to look at and see what
Down the road.
functions that we do charge for
Yeah,
those
and then once we-
porta-johns, or what functions are those provided with your rent
Yeah.
of the fairgrounds, of your function out there. I mean, that can all be worked
Yeah.
out. I mean,
'Cause I
and
remember-
we may not recoup every dime on what we
No.
spend on those, but,
and I think it was like $1 a gallon, if I remember right. No, I don't even want to say that. 'Cause I called the Porta Johns people to see if they would pump them out, and they wouldn't do it. But you had to call the septic pumper.
well, no, you drive them into town and go out here to the city dump station out
And
there
dump
at
'em
the
out.
city lot, and you dump out there.
Well, other than in the middle of an event.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay, if you didn't.
Yeah, I don't,
There's always a way, there's always an answer, buddy. There's always an answer.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's always,
Work through once you get your.
oh, yeah, but I like to throw everything out there on the table
I
before,
know, but,
before somebody chops my table off.
we'll put some of those ideas in a shredder.
Are they
Spit 'em
built
out.
to pull
They are built to pull.
when they're full?
They're built to pull, and they're,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, they're built to tow and, yeah. Oh, I remember looking though, I mean,
Yeah.
and they're built to open up the doors and go in with a hose and
yeah, they're,
you clean it, you spray them down with a.
and you can build them any way you want. You can build ADA on the back of them.
Right. I mean, they were so
Up and down
versatile and-
lifts. There's, I think the one that I gave you guys was a 10 stall, but it was $100,000.
Sure. Yeah, they range from 60
Yeah.
to 100 grand. Okay, just talking. All right.
Okay. Any questions?
Get your
Nope.
plan together.
Yep.
I'm working.
Yeah. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Good thoughts, man. Good information.
Don't forget them in case I do.
Don't forget
I
what?
said, don't forget my thoughts in case I do.
You get to writing those down, buddy. No, you start putting them on paper. Okay, I don't see Spark, so Jerry, we have a Maverick liquor license renewal? Is that the one out here north of town or the one out on East Y? North Town, okay.
My name is Jerry. I'm from the Montezuma County Clerk and Recorders with a liquor license renewal for Maverick Incorporated, which is on 10223 US Highway 491, and it's just a renewal for the liquor license. They did have one problem come in from the state that it says it's alleged that on June 1st, 2019, that an employee sold 1 can of fermented malt beverage before prohibited hours. The sheriff's office did not come with any.
They sold.
They sold 1 can
one
before
can
the hours
of
that was
operation.
supposed to be operated on. So, whoops.
We didn't need that anyway. I moved the liquor license renewal for the Maverick out west of town for 2020.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the retail liquor license renewal application for Maverick Incorporated located at 10223 US Highway 491. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Jared. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm. Sparks here?
No, Rick.
Oh, okay. All right. I keep looking for our late show. Rick Torres, you're on get out of the goodies back there. You're up.
Yes, sir.
I know you're looking for donuts back there, but.
Yeah. Searching for the donuts.
What did you set out there?
Good morning, everyone. No, those are, I just put some brochures for my office and some bumper stickers. In case anybody's interested or knows of a veteran, just send them our way. You guys are the public and the veterans are the best form of advertising.
Absolutely.
Word of mouth.
Absolutely. Word of mouth is the very, very best. Okay.
Alrighty. I think I can. I think you have mine. Do you have an extra one?
Yes, sir. Here, I'll just give you. There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Certification pay.
Oh, no, that's okay. I always wait for that because I sit down and I have to get back up and get it, my report.
That's if we approve it.
It took me a while to figure that out, if they approve it.
What, couple
So-
of years? Go ahead.
A couple of years to figure it out.
So to get this out of the way, I move that we accept the certification to pay for the county veteran service officer, total of $81,5271.
Second.
for the month of October.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Montezuma County Veteran Service Officers Monthly Report and Certification of Pay in the amount of $8,152.71 for the month of October. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, Commissioners.
Does Kim need a copy of that, or does she get one?
I email her a
You
copy.
email her? Okay, gotcha. Yep. Mhm. That is money well spent right there. That is,
Well, we had a pretty good month last month, as you'll see here. I always like to compare to the previous year. October of 2018, our office assisted 205 veterans and/or their family members. Last month, when you compare that, we saw 70 additional veterans over the previous year. 275 total came through our office. Again, a lot of those are ongoing maintenance. If we have a claim open and the veterans get a letter, we always tell them, get back in here so we can respond promptly. So it was a pretty busy month last month. Maybe it was because prior to hunting season or something, I don't know. I really can't say why.
no, they heard you were coming out with your vehicle,
Yes.
buddy, and they wanted to
We gotta go in there.
get a preview of it.
Right? Last month, we did do 6 nursing home / house calls. We were visible at 4 outreach events, 3 community events. We filed a total of 28 claims. Actually, that was kind of high for the month.
I was gonna say, that's a big.
Yeah, that's higher
almost
than,
one a day.
yeah, that was higher than normal. Usually we do about 3 a week, 4 a week. So yeah, it was almost 1 every work day, or if not more. Of the 28, we filed 28. However, we learned that 12 claims were completed by the VA. Out of those 12 claims, 10 were favorable, 1 was unfavorable, and 1 was confirmed and continued, means it didn't go up, it didn't go down, there was no change in the veterans' benefits. So that's actually pretty good. 10 out of 12 were favorable. Those 10 claims generated, for those claimants, $13,446 a month in new monthly benefits combined. In a year, that should be a little over 161,000. Those 10 individuals collectively received just under $40,000 in back pay. And then year to date, all the claims that have been granted to our veterans or their survivors is a little over 133,000 a month. If I did the math right, just under 1.6 million in new income to these families. And all the folks that have won so far, 871,000 in back pay. So yeah, it was a pretty good month. I'm very happy with it.
Well, I'm happy you got 21 new clients and filed 28 new claims.
Oh, I forgot to say that. Yeah, we had 21 new clients too. That's another thing.
That's as big a new client month as you've had in a while.
It is, and
So, I mean,
I think, I'm trying to figure out why. I don't know why. I wish I could say why.
Because that's a huge increase
Yeah, it was a lot.
for 1 month.
It was a lot, so, but we're happy with it, so.
Absolutely.
Again, the commissioners, when they attend events, the public, every time, the DAV, the VFW, the American Legion, the Elks are out there doing stuff for veterans, so they're all pushing people our way, and I think that's the key. Plus we're also advertising on the radio. We have gotten about a dozen people that have come in so far this year. We always ask them, where'd you find out about us? So, a little bit helps. Okay, and I do want to inform the commissioners and the public as well. The Albuquerque, New Mexico VA Health System, the VA employees, they're going to be sending about 2 or 3 of their people up here. I think it's next month, November 21st. It'll be at the county annex. However, that evening, there's also an event going on in the main part of the annex. So we're gonna, these folks are gonna come up from Albuquerque. We're gonna move them over into the senior section where they have their events, where the wooden floor is, where they do their dining and they do the dances in there. We're gonna have our event for veterans in that side of the building. So we look forward to anytime we can get VA employees to actually come out and visit us, we're always excited about that. So with that, if the commissioners
Are we still, Rick, is Montezuma County still attached to the Albuquerque VA hospital and stuff rather than Grand Junction?
Right. We still fall under New Mexico's catchment area. However, veterans can enroll wherever they want.
So they have the choice of going to the VA in Grand Junction or the VA?
They can go anywhere. And actually, to give you an update, this wasn't part of my plan, but the Durango VA clinic is the majority one that our veterans get enrolled in. They've, in just the short time that I've been here since 2013, I've seen a high turnover rate of their doctors. At first I think there was a Dr. McDonald, and then and a Dr. Casillas, and then McDonald left, and then it was Casillas, and they brought it. The person with Casillas has changed like 4 or 5 different times. Most recently it was Amanda Sloan. I think she's a PA. I have nothing but good things to say about her. She very, very thoughtful, very caring individual with her patients. I know that for a fact. But she's left now, so I don't really know where she's gone. But anyway, the VA is in the process again of hiring a doctor or a PA or an NP, somebody to help Dr. Gruber because Casillas left. So yeah, there's a high turnover rate over there. So what I have, when the veterans come in, I do tell them, you can pretty much enroll anywhere you want. I mean, I even got one guy enrolled in Los Angeles, and that's where he does his annual physical, because that's where his daughter lives. So once a year, he goes sees his daughter. He goes sees a VA doctor in Los Angeles. Why anybody would do that is beyond me. But I was just over there. It was 100 degrees in LA a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, but he sees his daughter. He sees his VA doctor. And the only thing is, if you're eligible for travel reimbursement, they're not going to pay you travel to go to LA and back. They'll pay you to Durango Clinic. So, but with that said, veterans can pretty much go wherever they want. If you do get complaints about Durango or what's going on, I don't know. It's just a high turnover rate, and it is a contract clinic. And if I can see it, and the veterans can see it, and the community can see it, I'm sure Albuquerque, the bureaucrats, of which I'm a bureaucrat now. But yeah, they can see it too. There's a high turnover rate. So, but with that said, I don't know if commissioners. Well, you saw the vehicle out there this morning, the long-awaited. I think Ron and his team did a great job out there. I want to thank the sheriff for partnering with our office. I think we're the only county I can really say that we have a tactical vehicle for an outreach. Oh, it's out there. So we'll go out and file your claim. Well, we'll find you and we'll file your claim. There's no reason why we can't file your claim for benefits. We can probably get to you.
Even at gunpoint if we have to.
Yeah. Now we got to see if he can find a mortar. We'll put a mortar in the back or rocket launcher. Yeah. We'll shoot the claim forms to them, and then they can fill them out ahead of time, and then I'll get them from them. So, but thank you for the commissioner's support.
Good looking vehicle.
I think they did a great job on it, and we'll do little things on it. We'll tweak it and make it a little bit better.
You will be noticed in that vehicle. You will be.
Well, plan on being at a lot of events, car shows, anywhere where we can impact the community and get a family member or a friend or even a non-veteran related family to say, hey, go see those people over there on the corner of West Montezuma and North Chestnut. And they're also on Facebook.
Thank you, Rick. Good job.
Rick.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Your office is doing great work for this community, Rick.
We're trying.
We appreciate it. Okay, Sheriff Nallen. I see Sheriff Nallen's here. Morning, Steve.
Morning. How's it going?
Good. How are you today?
Good. I don't have it anymore. They took it
Well, that's
away.
because I kept telling you, quit playing your game.
I was just about to the 10th level.
Yeah, I was like almost. It's that cable to hook up his computer. Steve, where was that I caught on the Grand Junction News, we had set an all-time state record for MVA deaths in a 12-hour period over this They said there was one in Montezuma County
Yeah, just south on Highway 491, 160, north of Toyota.
in that construction zone again?
I'm not sure if it was actually in the zone or just before,
Just before.
but it was a northbound vehicle out of Nashville. That's where it was from.
Huh.
And drifted into the southbound lane and hit the semi head on.
Oh, my goodness.
Yo, brother.
Tough 12 hours, man. That was a state all-time high for MVA motor vehicle fatalities in a 12-hour period.
Keenan, I think that was up from between C and D, just maybe quarter mile south of D. Is where
Okay.
Real close to County Road.
Gotcha.
So speaking of that, Steve, we're kind of discussing with CDOT right now, and the possibility, which is where we're kind of lying, is to keep that Road 21 open with a gate and a Knox box on it.
Keep the access, have the access built to 491, but it's gonna be a closed access and only emergency vehicles, emergency responders, highway patrol, sheriff's department. Be a lock box
Have-
on it, so it.
Have access to that
Negate
gate
it all.
for rerouting traffic, because, I mean, here again is another,
That's a bad, yeah, now that they did that highway construction, that does make it a dangerous intersection. You know,
so,
I don't know how the folks, I think there's only a couple of residents that live down there at
I
that end.
think there's one basic property owner that's affected, the Porters are the,
Yeah.
and I think they were in agreement with closing it, or, you know, they're good with that.
That's good.
Yeah, so.
We
But
have to
CDOT,
worry about
CDOT wanted to close that thing permanently with no access onto the highway.
Yeah.
And we had agreed to that if they would have come through with what we asked them to do. And if they're not gonna come through with that, then we're gonna keep that access closed.
We'll take our toys and go home.
Well, that'll definitely take care of a lot of the DUI traffic that goes north and south on 21. So now they're going to have to make a left turn or a right turn. So we'll see how that affects that
Is there a
traffic
lot,
pattern.
is there a lot of DUI
Oh, yeah.
traffic goes up
Oh,
that
yeah.
road?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yep.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Where they coming from and where they going?
They come from Cortez and south of Cortez, Toyoak, and the other 3 states, and they cut off that way to avoid the highway. Yeah.
and they hit McElmo and then go to
Yeah.
Utah.
So we've all picked up more DUIs on that road traffic route than anything. Now McElmo, of course, it'll always be that way. But, well, getting started, just to give you an idea, the month of October, total calls for service was 1,946. It's going up. And I'll show you where we were at from last year, but we are trying to make an impact on the traffic complaints. As you can see, there was 287 vehicles that were contacted in the month of October. A lot of that, or at least a third of that, has to do with the gaming grant that we have and the gaming patrols that we do, which also will affect what our numbers are in 2 years. So they're 2 years behind. So the hours that we spend on gaming contacts and gaming patrols, that boosts our numbers of what we can get from the state, from DOLA, to our gaming contract. So we were down in burglaries. However, we did have a significant number of deaths or thefts. That was about, I think what we had was, let's see, there's only 10 or 11 trespasses. Let's see what thefts. We had 16 reported in October. We did a lot of business checks, a lot of home checks. We've done quite a bit of that, as you can see. Even foot patrols in certain areas, especially the fairgrounds or whatnot. We're trying to watch that as best we can, with what we have. So that's really helped a bunch. Our livestock complaints have started to go down, which is a good thing. As far as Let's see, what's the other one I wanted to bring
What
up?
does security checks consist of? I mean, is that?
That's checking businesses, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep, yep, we're trying to reduce any thefts and burglaries in businesses. We've had such an increase this year of thefts, and a lot of it has to do with, with the drug trade. We reduced livestock on road, at least we only had 4 calls on that, but we had several that were at large, which is, not uncommon at this time of the year when cattlemen are moving their stock and stuff. There'd be strays that'll show up in somebody's yard and stuff, so not a big thing. We've gotten that taken care of. So far, we haven't had any livestock hit on any of these county roads yet.
When you catch these guys on the drug, are they usually on, do they usually have marijuana in their system as well as the other?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Marijuana's almost standard.
Pretty much,
I mean,
yeah. Even people that don't commit crimes are,
They're gonna have both.
yeah. Wanted to
It's just
show
I
you.
remember when the city proposed, putting the marijuana stores in the town. The county did a moratorium, and now the county's got money and the city's broke.
Yeah. And that's what I've been dealing with, and I'm telling you,
6 stores, and
yeah.
they were, well, we're gonna make this much money
You've seen
for the
it,
city.
so,
Now it's just the opposite.
yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of money being made in the county that you're not seeing, okay? And that's why I brought some of those things to you. So it is a problem. It's not going to go away. I can tell you that I just have a feeling in my forecast that this marijuana impact funding is going to start being deleted, where a lot of law enforcement agencies are not going to get any more assistance. I can just see it because it's being diverted to so many other things. With
At the state
enforcement.
level.
What's that?
At the state
At the
level.
state level, that's where it comes from. Yeah.
Since we're talking about grants being deleted, can you clarify what other grants are in jeopardy because of the discrepancy between the Trump administration and the Polis administration?
Yeah, the Bureau of Justice Administration grants that we get, any federal matching grants that we used to get. Right now, we were approved for 2 additional court security deputies that were totally going to be paid for with the state matching a federal grant funding. And we were awarded that a year and a half ago. And we never received the funds, and so now the state is actually in a lawsuit against the federal government to get those award monies back to Colorado that were awarded to all of the agents. And we're not the only sheriff's office that was hurt by that. I mean, thank goodness, I don't hire anybody until the money's there. So that's just the way that it is. And I don't know if it'll come about or not, but that was because of what the state did in trying to somewhat make it a sanctuary state, so that they put a lot of restrictions on immigration and immigration enforcement and anything to do with that. That's what did it. And that's beyond my control. I mean, we don't, beyond all of us, really. And all I know is that a lot of other federal funded grants that we could go after, we're not even going to try, because until this gets resolved, what's the point? We're not going to get anything locally from federal funds. So thank goodness we're still receiving federal funds and assistance when it comes to wildfires. God, maybe I shouldn't have said that openly. I just hope that doesn't kick in. That will really kill us. That'll hurt. Yeah. But so far, that affects everybody. Wildfires do. Just to bring you up to speed where we're at for this year, January 1 to October 31st of this year, we've had a total of 15,194 calls for service. Now that is an increase of 1,423 calls for service from last year. At this time last year, you can see that we had 13,771 last year. Total calls for service in 2018 were 16,745. You're going to see that number increase for 2019 year. We've got 2 months left.
Do you respond to every one of those calls, Steve?
Every time the phone rings and we get a call to respond for something now, there are some
gonna
calls
say-
that we don't respond to.
I was gonna say,
that we
there's
deal
some
with
of the-
on the
there's some
phone.
of those calls there that you don't
Yeah,
send
and
it.
those are on that phone calls?
Yeah,
That's those.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
those are handled by
actually
phone calls.
responded to.
Yeah, when
These
somebody,
here.
what's that?
15,000 are the ones you actually responded
Yes.
to, not just the phone calls that came in and some of
No.
them that you had discretion over?
Just
Which
them.
is about a 10%
Yeah.
increase.
And a lot of those, remember that, yeah, and a lot of those, remember during the spring, summer, and fall, our water and livestock calls. A lot of them are water calls.
And you have a dedicated officer to that.
Yes, I really need another, but there, yeah, he's constantly. And and our deputies and myself are picking up those that he can't get to. Because we would get quite a bit, but we've made a lot of progress when it comes to water disputes. But the problem is that we have so many new people moving in. And now once we got the old ones taken care of, now we got all the new problems to deal with. And you've experienced that too. And I'm telling you that that's what happens. But getting them educated in the beginning is what we've been trying to do with the Water 101 law classes, with the real estate agents and whatnot in the area, explaining that just because there's a ditch that runs through your front yard doesn't mean that you can water your lawn. Okay? So it's an issue. So for the jail, we'll show you that this was our parole holds that we had for the month of October. They were billed $7,500. We'll only see $54 and some odd cents for that. But there was a total of 100 days.
So they're not paying, are they refusing to pay your $75
Yes.
fee?
Still.
Where are we at with?
They're refusing to pay. We told them we weren't gonna accept them starting 2020.
Well, we gave them the whole rest of the year, huh?
Yeah, we gave them the rest of the year. I mean, I only did that verbally,
Yeah.
so we could have done that earlier. One thing I was gonna suggest when this was just brought up is if they're in a crunch and they need to use the jail, what my discussions with the state were that, hey, if you're in a crunch and need to, then pay us the amount. We're saying what you need to pay.
Yeah.
I feel like we should say, you're gonna have to pay us the amount, the $75 that we charge, but before we even take it, you gotta back pay us. Is that okay if I say that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because
I'm
why-
tired of subsidizing the state on these guys.
And I don't know how much money that is, but my guess is it's 10 grand.
How far do you want to go back?
Yeah, how far do you want to go back?
Probably only,
Just
What,
2019?
A calendar year?
only 2019. I mean, we just recently started doing this,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, 2019.
And so maybe if you can sometime get me that account.
Oh, you bet.
so that I can
Yeah.
start before January 1st.
Absolutely.
I can get it to you before the end of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then we are stopping unless they pay this.
Unless they pay that, they're not gonna have any
2020.
more parolee holds on us.
All I've told them so far is that we're stopping January 1st. But they can, make requests to the sheriff, as long as they're gonna pay what we're claiming they pay. I didn't think yet to ask them that, oh, by the way,
Wait.
you owe us all this first.
Right. Yeah.
Which isn't gonna break the state, they can pay that rate. I don't think
Absolutely,
it's-
the sooner the better.
I mean, I
The
think it's a
sooner the
five-figure
better.
number, is my guess. I
Yeah,
don't think it's a
yeah.
six-figure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not going to break them. The thing is, though, is that what I suggest, which I know you will, needs to be in writing well in
Yes.
advance,
Right.
okay?
Yeah.
And I need to
You want a resolution?
keep me involved in that so I know when
Yeah.
and that I will.
Why don't I just give you a draft resolution, get your okay? or
Okay,
tweaks
that'd be
to it,
great.
and then
That'd be great.
commissioners
Thank you.
Sign it, that way you can
Yeah,
deal with it.
you bet. And so when my phone rings, I'll know what to say.
You'll
Okay.
have a document to refer them to and say, you have it in your possession.
go.
This is what we're living by.
And my next question to you is, next year, what is this going up from the $75? Is it a 6% increase? Because to keep it the same every year, to me, doesn't make any sense. They should know right now that every year for the next 10 years, it's gonna go up X amount, because our costs to run that are going up every year. So I don't wanna keep it at $75, I want it to increase with what it's costing us.
We do a cost analysis annually, okay, of what it is. That's what I present to you.
That's what you
And that's where the
guys-
$70 came from, and you wanted to put $5 additional put in toward maintenance, future maintenance. So that's why the $75 figure came about.
Because I think you showed us, if I remember correctly, Steve, your cost of operation out there was $68 and some change.
Yeah, it's
per
almost
day.
$69.
Yes, almost $69, so yeah, he's got that, and I'm with you, Commissioner Candelaria. We
Okay.
start saying, this is what it is this year, if nothing else, the CPI out of Boulder, Denver, the CPI cost of consumer price index, 3.5%, 4.5%, 2%, whatever it is, your costs are gonna go up that much next year, just like you do at the state level on that thing,
Yeah.
so.
Well, here's a suggestion. What we can do is do a cost analysis from January through November of this year,
Okay,
because we've had the highest numbers of inmates,
okay.
as you'll see. And we can give you a figure if in December you tell me where that should be, and I can put that out to them, as well as to the Dolores County, the town of Dolores, town of Mancos, and the city of
Everybody.
Cortez.
And it's not gonna be $75 starting January 1, 2020, it's gonna be maybe $78 or $79 a day.
Right, whatever you, like I said, it's your jail.
And I would like to see that
It's
sooner
our
than
jail,
later.
we don't get to
because
run it.
Well,
With
that's
the
why, because the law
capacity-
puts it on me. Thanks a
With
lot.
the capacity that's growing out there, they need to start paying for it.
Oh, I
Why
agree.
are all of our people in Montezuma County paying
Yeah.
for that when
Yeah.
everybody needs to be paying their fair share?
Well, and like I said,
Break-even amount,
yeah,
at least
Yeah.
a cost of an
Yeah.
operation, I mean, God, we're not out there to make it. We should be making money to do the additions, the renovations, and all
Right.
of that to that jail that
Yeah.
are gonna be coming, but,
Yeah.
but then to not even get the cost of your operations out of that thing is just ludicrous, and the
Yeah.
state has hammered us down and kept us
Yeah.
down here subsidizing them for so
Well,
dadgum long.
you know, and everybody else is paying it but the state. And it's our state legislators that set that fee.
Yeah, and
So,
then-
you know,
Yeah, they don't
You
want to go
know-
to their general fund and spend it on us, buddy.
I know, and,
I think it's, I think though the legislature said it said that this counties can negotiate higher
Yes, they
rates
can.
with,
You can.
They're just refusing to negotiate higher rates.
Right, their appropriations, they've
Yeah.
had bill after bill after bill
Yeah.
go through that dadgum state house for recalibrating the cost of and it always goes to appropriations and it never comes out.
They set the minimum
Just-
is what they said.
Yeah.
And, they need to set the minimum higher.
yeah.
Well, then,
As long as 2020, we're no longer taking them unless they pay our fee, doesn't matter.
That's fine with me.
except we can't do that with the state, but that's the bulk of our money.
Yeah. And that's an agreement or whatever between the county commissioners and the State Department of Corrections.
How do we start, how do we get with them?
After one person's contract, that is like a controller or something like that, that's what we're doing.
So contact them again.
John, your mic's not on.
We need to talk. This is crazy. We can keep kicking this can down the road, and it's not getting fixed.
I'll invite him to schedule a meeting with us and reduce hours.
There you go. That'd be great. And as you can see, the DOC holds in October, was only 2 days shy of what we had on parole holds.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay? But these people are going away. You can see that 2 of them were picked up on the 21st. We still have the others remaining until their bed space in a detention or prison facility has been directed of where they're going. So, okay. So this was for the month of October. How many arrests per day on that day and releases on that day, and what our total bookings were, 335. And so we had 172 arrests and 163 releases. Now, more than likely they were in there for anywhere from 2 to 5 hours to 4 to 8 hours if they were municipal holds. And then they're given a PR bond. This is the thing that I want to draw your attention to is the total inmate bed days in the month of October. We have 104 beds, okay? You will see that there's only all but 3 days that we were under our 104 bed capacity. The rest were much higher, okay? Increased amount of people into a limited space, okay? And so that is an issue. It is. This is what...
What do you see the largest increase of people coming into the jail? Do you see anything, a pattern, Steve, of where you're starting to pick up more and more people that are being incarcerated?
Most are on fail to appear warrants or arrest warrants is where they come from, okay?
Okay.
In addition to the day-to-day type of contacts that law enforcement may have with them, most of it is warrant arrests or remands from the court where a person has failed to abide by a court order. And so the judge puts them in jail. Mm-hmm. And so that's where we see those increases the most. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you can't fix that. I mean, how do you fix that? If they don't go to court, then there'll be a warrant for them. Okay, and if they get picked up, they're going to be booked in. So, for the most part, you know, with the city of Cortez is really starting to reduce the number of their arrests. Most of them are on FTA warrants, because when they have new charges on people in the municipal courts, they're only held there for usually about 24 hours, and then they're PR'd. They're released. And those are the ones that don't go to court, at least probably half of them. And there's a warrant issued for them, so they get picked up next week or the week after or whatever. And so they're back in jail, and then they're out. So it's in and out constantly. But sometimes they can be there for up to 5 days, depends on what the municipal judges do. But most of the time they don't sentence them to much longer than what they've served when they were picked up. So, and those are more often misdemeanor charges. The serious felonies we have, that's to be expected. We should have those people in there. But that's kind of where it's at, you know.
Well, you know, I just saw Oklahoma, and of course this is in their penal system in their state and whatever prisons or whatever. But they released 500 inmates that were all in there on drug charges, misdemeanor stuff that they and I'm sure.
Well, they were felony charges that were
then were reduced to misdemeanor.
Crimes against persons, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're now misdemeanor.
Yeah.
So.
Those are the people that you're going to see again and again. Those are your repeat offenders, okay? You're going to see them again. They may be out today, but they'll be back down the road, okay? And that is just the way that our society is right now, today. With the increase in populations throughout Colorado, I can't speak for Oklahoma, but every single state's having to deal with their prison populations just like Colorado and just like we are locally. Of what do we do with these people? There's a lot of drug courts. There's a lot of the DUI courts. There's a lot of programs that go on that keep them, try to get them the help and direction that they need to stay out of jail and out of trouble. That goes on every day, and I don't know. It's not like the lack of trying, but it's just what we deal with every day. Our alcohol and drug issues increase. Our mental health problems with that increase. And, you know, we've just had meetings again with Access last week. And we have issues with the hospital and Access, and we can't be tying up our limited deputies in dealing with holding these people. And I'm not putting them in jail on a mental. That's illegal. and I'm not going to do that. We need to have something here. We all know that. We know that. I don't know what can happen, but if we keep working toward it, maybe it can happen. We need something. I know that there was a master plan with the Dolores School District last week that they're looking at with their best grants and whatnot of either trying to Band-Aid and fix their campus in Dolores, which is just about maybe 15, 20 million less than building a new one. But if they built a new one, if they're with that campus there, half of that could be used for a detox and an inpatient mental health facility. Could be. There's nothing wrong with that newer portion of that building. But, I mean, it's used.
Who's going to pay for it, and who's going to fund it, and who's going to run it?
There you go.
You know, getting the building built is sometimes the easiest part of that whole daggone scenario.
Well, there's nothing. It's already built, but I'm saying, how do you do that?
Right.
Yeah.
So getting back to your jail right now at that capacity, and I said that a couple weeks ago that we're over 100% capacity right now. When you built that, or obviously not you, or
right, 20 some odd years ago.
What were their projections? What were we running? Were we at 50% or of that capacity then? Do you
No,
know?
it was only increased by about 25%.
So, in theory, right now, we should have another 20 beds based on these numbers.
Good. But
So that, it warrants an expansion right now.
yeah. Well, it does. It always, it has in the past years, it has. But
And
now,
it's-
and in the future, it may. But how are we going to pay for that?
That's, I
That's
guess,
the thing, okay? So I have to deal with, I have to deal with what it is instead of what it could be or might be.
right.
I'm dealing with what it is. And
And we'll deal with what it
Yeah.
needs to be if it
Right.
needs to be expanded. But I guess that's where I'm going to, is that we need to start planning for that expansion now because
Yeah.
we're behind. We're already
yeah.
way behind.
And I think everybody in law enforcement is doing the very best that they can to issue summonses and release instead of arrests. They are. They understand. There's only so much room at the end, okay? But like I said, when you have arrest warrants, you can't control that, okay? You've got a warrant. It's like, well, I can't just let you go.
Right.
I've got a court order to take you into custody and take you before a judge, so.
So,
Yeah.
I have another question that's kind of off
Sure.
that subject too, but one of the issues that we were having, we were talking, we spent all day with Rob last week at a DOLA hearing and reading some of the stuff that was sent to us for patrolling, because these guys are facing hazards every day. They're all of our county employees also, but how much ticketing do we actually get taking place in our work zones? Are we being proactive with that and working with them to get some ticketing happening in their work zone?
Not like it should be.
What
I
would
can
it
tell
take
you
to
that.
do that?
Well, like I've said some years ago, is I need more deputies, and I tell you what would really be the best is having at least 2 deputies assigned to it, doing nothing but traffic. That's day and night, okay? And then you're actually going to see, because the summonses that are issued for speeding and other traffic offenses, that comes to the county general fund, okay? So it's just like it is with the town of Dolores. What's written there and goes in municipal court there, they get the funds. So we would love to spend more time because we need to, because our traffic has increased and it's not going to decrease. We have more and more vehicles on the road today than we did last year. We have more drivers coming up. We have more people here driving, and there's more traffic complaints and problems as it happens. And there just is not enough. And like Rob even told me, there's no deterrent. Nobody's worried about getting stopped. You're darn right. I agree. Okay, and that's a problem. When we're answering these calls for service, whether they're domestic violence, the assaults, all the other things that go on, you can only work traffic when the time that you have, but you have to include, they have to finish those reports. If it's an arrest, there's that booking time, there's that report writing time, and so that takes away from their days, their hours in that shift. When you have 2 or 3 deputies on at a time, they're not going from call to call every single hour of every day. But you know what? That's where you saw where they're making 258 traffic contacts just in 1 month. That's pretty good for what we got. That's not bad. And you have DUI arrests, you have those people that may be habitual traffic offenders that are required to be arrested, but all the others are summoned and released. Okay, so on top of the speeding and the traffic, I would love to have, when you have road construction going on, I would love to have a deputy out there. I really would.
Do your horse deputies, or do they spend full time with the horses, or do you switch them off and have them?
They have regular duties, and that's part-time for them, you bet. And you know what? They can run traffic too. I just need to get a couple of portable radar guns, and we're looking at that. Those things are not cheap, so that's why I kind of steered away from that right now. But we are looking at a grant to help purchase some. That can help. And you know what? They make traffic contacts. So, but they have to be scheduled from their primary duties. That's the thing, to do that. They couldn't do that every day. But if we had somebody that could do that every day, that would be great.
But what I'm saying is, do they ever drive a patrol car? Do they ever cross over and drive a patrol car to relate?
One does, that's assigned to the patrol division. The other one's a detective, and the other one is in detention that works court security on relief, transports, and detentions. He's got 3 different places that he works. So, and most of the time it's transport. Those are killing me right now.
Back and forth.
In fact, I'm looking at going after a surety on a bonding company, on one that the DA wanted extradited from Florida. Cost $4,500. Okay, and the DI and I have already talked about this. We got to do something, okay, to pay for those costs. The county cannot pay for those.
No.
All the way across, even though there may be some circumstances that they wanted to prosecute him here, okay, on a domestic violence case. But still, this wasn't a real serious injury to a person case, okay? And so that's where I have a problem with that. But we're gonna try. It hasn't been done yet, but I'm gonna try it, to go after filing that claim with that surety on that bond, to pay for that, to reimburse us.
Yeah, Stephen, and I'm hoping that you're looking, I know in your budgetary request, you asked for 3 more patrols and 3 more people in your jail.
Mm-hmm.
I know from our tour out there that you've done some great technological things in your master screen room there, where and camera work, and
Right.
and you've gotten a lot more astute and much more visible information from out in the cells and stuff into that room. I'm hoping that you can find some more technological things to help benefit and boost your ability for your patrol people and your jail people to do their job, rather than just continually adding adding personnel to the roles, because those salaries and benefits and all that go on forever, and you talk three new deputies. I'm sure we're talking $150,000, $160,000 a year. That's ongoing cost of that, and I mean, I understand that we're growing, and there's obviously you get more requests from people, but there's a lot of that stuff that people need to take care of themselves. Some personal responsibility, rather than looking to call for Sally Ann to come in and fix me and help me and do all that. Take care of some of this stuff yourself. I think we just start crying for help for somebody to come in when.
Oh, hey, you know what? I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
Yeah.
I'm constantly looking at new technology all the time. Okay, and how to fund that without coming here asking for it.
Well,
Okay?
well, you're-
I do that every day.
I know, but you're asking one way, you know,
Well,
which
sure.
hand, the left hand or the right hand, there's still the
Well,
ask there.
I understand that, but you know what? We don't have the people.
My question is what does our sheriff deputies pay compared to the Cortez? Aren't they less?
We start out a little bit more than they do. They have much better benefits than we do.
So-
And that's what draws people to them. What's that?
Your retention, I mean, how often do you go through deputies? Usually,
Well, it depends, but yeah. We went through three of them this year? Two this year. Yeah, we went through 2 this year, and we just went through a third one because of family issues that he had, that we had to leave.
I guess my point is it usually comes down to money. We're looking at the teacher deal. We're looking,
Oh.
well, I can go to,
Yeah.
so if the deputies were paid more, would that be beneficial and not necessarily as many deputies? If they were all to get raises?
I've struggled with that. I think that a cost of living increase for everybody is very important because costs go up. That should be something that we should always look at, and I do. The thing is, though, is that I don't know that paying them a whole lot more or more is going to be something that's going to retain them. We're dealing with different generations today, too. You got to understand that it's a lot different than when we were growing up and our work ethic. Maybe not so much you later on, but
That's what I'm getting
Yeah.
at is if there was,
yeah.
if the pay was enough, would the work ethic increase and they would be more beneficial?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and they start out more and are paid more today than what they were when I first took office. I have tried to increase that to help that retention and the demand on the more training and the more certifications that we're required to have. And so there's got to be some benefit to that. And so that's where we've tried to keep that up. The problem is that it's the benefits that kill people.
The retirement.
Medical and family, yeah. That's the thing that gets them. And so and in fact, I've had a couple come to me going, I don't want to raise because that's going to affect my annual income and it'll take my kids off of CHP. So that's where a lot of them have to go for family insurance or insurance for the children because they can't afford the insurance that we have with the county. And that's really, it's unfortunate for all of us because of where we live. Now, if we were over on the other side of the Continental Divide, we have a lot more. There's a lot more benefits packages over there with really good medical benefits and health care. We don't have that here, okay? We're very limited, and that's not anybody's fault. It's just the way that it is. So, yes, pay increases are always good. Nobody's going to scoff at that. But is that going to get them to stay? Not necessarily. I'll tell you that I've lost the people that I've lost that have left for reasons other than they had to because of family issues. That's the majority. It's hard for that. And so when hiring somebody, I don't look at hiring somebody from outside the area because that's always the spousal unit is not used to that when they move from some place that used to have all the amenities that we don't have here. That creates issues, and that draws them back away. But we're also competing against metropolitan and eastern slope agencies that, you know, they give tremendous hire-on packages and bonuses for certified officers. And so that's really impeding some of ours being able to retain. But I'll tell you, we've changed a lot and we're still working on how to change that culture and continue changing the culture in the sheriff's office, that we want nothing but servient folks that understand what service is about. It's serving the people. You're not getting into law enforcement to get rich. I can tell you that. It's not going to happen, okay? Unless you go to some federal agency somewhere or whatever, it's not going to happen. And I'll tell you, the folks that we have and that we've retained and that we're recruiting and hiring now have that desire to serve, and they want to continue with that. And building those relationships within that agency to better serve our community is what it's all about. And that's a fact. The jail is stressful, and when you're limited with people, God almighty, it's stressful. I mean, being confined, for 12 hours in there, it cannot be a happy place sometimes.
And what is their pay? Is it the same as the patrol deputies?
It's close to it, just a little shy. The problem is they're not certified. Certified deputies should be being paid more because they're the ones that are required to have all of that state certification training and the proper training that they have to have here. And understand that a sheriff's deputy does a whole lot more than what a city officer or state or a federal agent does. Look at all the laws that they have to know. Water law, livestock law, civil law, everything. All of the duties that are on the sheriff are on them. And I'll tell you, they do a whole lot more, and they have to know a lot more. That's what, to me, they're unique. They're unique people, and they need to be trained in every one of those aspects so that when they go out there and they deal with these calls for service or problems, they're giving the right information, they're taking the right action, and making the right decision. That keeps us all out of trouble, and it also resolves the problem. That's what it's all about. And so keeping up with that on an annual basis is, we do it. And that's why I emphasize training so much.
And the mounted patrol has the same certifications
Oh, yeah.
as the
Oh, yeah,
driver.
you betcha. Have to, yeah. So, okay. Well, you've got the rest of that. I don't know how much further you want to go. I've spent a lot of time here with you. That's what the sheriff's fees were that were collected in the month of October. $47,282. And this is the cost for the month of October. So you can see that the municipal city of Cortez are really dropping the number of people that they arrest and bring in there. They are. I knew they would for a lot of reasons. But when you look at those parole holds of how we could eliminate a lot of that cost and bed space, that could help.
Yep.
Really can. And that's one area that you can. Yeah.
Well,
So-
that other big number, the 244,000, that's where the job needs to be done, Steve.
Yeah.
That's what's
what we pay
costing
for.
us.
Yeah.
That's what's killing us out there.
Yeah. Well, you're looking at 3,255 days, inmate days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
If you, that 244, 125 is $56 and 40-some cents daily rate, right?
That is based on the $75 rate. Okay. So our costs are the $69.
So you're not getting paid that $75 by them,
No,
are you?
that's what us taxpayers pay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's
I'm saying
what
that
we're paying.
$75, that's kind of a illusion there.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying we'd like to get, but what
Exactly.
we're getting is $56 or something like that.
Exactly.
58, 56.
So we're subsidizing,
Exactly.
so they're, out of that, we're subsidizing the state.
25%.
Oh, we're subsidizing everything.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, that's what's gotta come to an end. They want,
Well-
they want us to build their courts for them, they want us to have their jails for them, and
Here
how,
you go.
they want, they
I
put a
agree.
lot of load on these counties
Yeah.
to take care of their stuff.
Oh, we know that, yes.
And I'm,
That's why we've got up and testified before these committees
you know,
of what those
unfunded-
costs are.
To me, that's an unfunded mandate right there.
I agree.
And,
I agree.
if, we just get a couple of Bluebird buses and start driving them all up to Denver and unloading them up there right in front of their jail in Denver and say, hey, you have.
Well, I don't think that's gonna
You
happen,
know.
okay?
You
I
never
know.
Steve.
Well, you never know.
You never
I'll take you with me in front of the judge. Jeez,
So we're the
okay.
ones making those arrests, though. I mean, you're
Yeah.
right, they're completely, we are not being reimbursed for them, but, you know, that the state isn't making us necessarily make those arrests
Yeah.
and put them in our jail.
Yeah.
I mean, some of those we can blame on the judges for sentencing someone to a year in the county jail, because then Sheriff Nowlin's required
Yeah.
to house them. But a lot of these, it's our own doing, not necessarily the state making us do
Yeah.
it.
It's the crimes that are happening here and their punishment for those crimes when convicted or pled. They're serving those times. There's a lot of work release programs. Yeah, somebody was complaining about, you mean if somebody's sentenced to 6 months, they can serve it on weekends? Well, that's up to the court. Yeah, I can. They have to pay. They pay to come in and voluntarily surrender themselves for a weekend until they go back to work, but at least they're working and they're paying.
Yeah.
They're not our problem.
Yeah,
Okay.
those are great.
Yeah, that's great.
When we can pull that off.
I wish more could be like that.
But that helps everybody. That helps
No.
the county, that helps the inmate.
Exactly.
Helps
It does. Yeah. Yeah, it does. So there are good things, but there's bad things too that come with it. And that's the cost of having to have a jail, I guess. I don't know. I think we're on the right path of trying to do the best we can with what we got. We just need to get the state to help pay for some of that. At least be fair about it. And that's where we're headed, so. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Go to the meeting with that DOC official and have a chat.
Sheriff, I got one last question. If you was to patrol your deputies and they were offered one of two things, if they were offered a substantial raise or additional help, which one do you think that they would pick?
I think you're gonna see additional help because it's on them and they're not getting help. And so that's where I think you would see it. I believe that, or I wouldn't tell you that.
And I would have to agree with that too. In what we were doing, obviously a different service, but guys were burned out so much on overtime that the money didn't matter to them. They were just denying everything because there was not enough help. You can, I mean, if you're working every day, you're
Well,
You're
I'd
burned
like for
out,
them to
so-
speak for themselves, though. I would like to actually talk to the deputies and hear from them. You know, I don't want
We'll
it
have an
second
evening
hand.
meeting next week.
Huh?
We'll have an evening
Okay.
meeting next week. Invite them to come.
Sheriff, can I also ask about, and this is digressing, the wildfire cooperative agreement that we'll
yes.
probably discuss next month?
Thank
is
you.
my assumption.
Glad you brought that up.
Can you find out, I remember when the counties started circulating this, we've never signed it, I don't think. I might be wrong about that, but I know many counties have and many counties haven't, and we never did, is my
Okay.
recollection. Is there any way you can figure out, who thinks this is a good idea, who thinks it's a bad idea, and then maybe when you do come back next month, tell us what you think, that, hey, commissioners, please sign this, or don't do this is a waste of time?
I will.
Why?
That's why I delayed sending it out because it kept changing
Yeah.
things. And I went to this meeting and when it was in La Plata County.
La Plata spearheaded this. They're the ones who put it together.
Yeah, well, that's because I got hosed. And I'll tell you, there's a problem. Even with the EFF, there's a problem because what happened in La Plata County on the one fire, the state fire was there with the sheriff and with the fire chief, and they all agreed that the state was going to cover for the air support and the other ground teams that were coming in to stop this fire at the top of a ridge before it fell down into and dropped down into a subdivision. And the state said that they would pay X number of dollars. Well, they did such a good job and stopped it at the ridge that it never went anywhere else. They stopped it. Well, the state said that they weren't going to pay that. And it wasn't the people on the ground. It's the decision that's made in Denver. And so at this meeting, I told them, it's like, why should I deal with the state rep here, okay, for the Division of Fire, when the fire chiefs and I go, if this is the agreement, then this needs to be paid. But if the state's not going to agree to pay that part, I don't want to talk to him. I want to talk to the guy who's going to make the final decision. Why can't we do that? Because I want to know that if I'm signing saying that we agree to this, that they're going to uphold their part.
The
Okay?
language in it, I think,
Yeah.
I'd have to look at it again, but there's a lot of may.
There is.
Loosey-goosey stuff.
Exactly.
And so why are we gonna
Yeah.
sign it?
I know.
But that's the type of stuff that I think the
Yeah.
commissioners need to hear, is whether or not you
Yeah.
think we should sign this thing or not.
And I know maybe I have the documents confused, but there's a document the fire department sign every year for like the first drop.
That's EFF, yes.
That's different than that?
That's different than this,
Okay.
yes.
Because
This is-
I would say that's
Yeah.
the money again.
It's money again.
You know, on the fire department, we was always instructed to have, maybe it was you,
Mhm.
somebody had to make the call versus
Right.
the fire department, or it cost
Right.
the fire department $20,000 when it was a big
Yeah.
drop, so.
Well, and the fire chiefs now, we've got such a good working relationship. They don't do anything unless they really need it, unless they can't get a hold of me. But they can always get a hold of me. We talk about it. We make sure that I keep in touch with Shaq. I keep in touch with, I call, just to let you know that there's a fire. The problem is that with this agreement, it talks about prescribed burns and uncontrolled or controlled burns, right? Did you read that in there? I have a real problem with that, because I'm confused whether or not that they're talking about the county doing a prescribed or controlled burning, which is different than a private citizen. So if the county does it, they have to have a master plan that's approved by the state before it happens. But it confuses me when it talks about controlled burns, that, you know, we're talking about, do citizens have to have a master plan filed with the state through us before they can do it? That's ridiculous. And that's new language in here. Yeah,
So just understand what the obligations are and decide whether or
Yeah.
not you think it's a good idea.
yeah,
Or not.
I will. So,
Because I remember last time, I think we decided
I
it
don't know, why
wasn't
would
a
we
good
sign
idea.
Why would we sign it then?
Yeah.
We haven't in the past, but I certainly think that we should.
I'm just
evaluate
throwing it
your
out there to
input.
you. Yeah, you know what I know. And I'm straight up with you, with what's going on.
But
I
it
don't
doesn't
know.
have to be signed until the end of
Yeah.
December, right?
If it even needs to be signed.
Well, and I don't know if you, I think I sent it to you earlier this year when they changed how, for example, state wildlife areas, okay, for fires and whatnot. I said we're not signing that. I'm not agreeing to that because it was going to cost us a whole lot more. And it's like, why? Yeah, why? If it's within a fire district, the problem is that if we have a fire that starts on private land and goes into state or federal land, that's an issue.
Mhm.
That is an issue.
That's always been an issue.
And you know what? So far, we've been doing okay with working that out with them to keep our costs down. And a perfect example is the one up there at Sageham.
Mhm. Starting on private land and went to put.
That didn't cost us that much.
And that, but that should have fallen back on the property owner too,
Sure.
Steve. I mean, there, you know. there
And they were
comes a-
charged.
Yeah, there comes a place there that,
Yeah.
depending on how that
Yeah.
fire was started and who created the problem to start out with, they become liable for that stuff.
And you know, John, were you the one that reached out to their insurance company, or maybe it was Melissa? I'm not sure. Somebody I thought was looking at that.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was a red flag day. They shouldn't have been burning anyway.
So-
And, you know, and the wind took it and away it went, and that's the way it goes. I've been I've received several calls and emails about people, especially south of town, that want the fire ban in effect. The problem is that it doesn't affect just the south of town. It affects the whole unincorporated areas of the county. I've explained that to him. The fire chief has explained it to him, that it isn't the controlled burns that are being out of control. That's not our problem. People have been very responsible here when they do controlled burns, and I appreciate the heck out of that. So do the fire chiefs. It's those that either it starts from a spark from something on a road, or they throw their cigarette butts out. That's kind of where it's happening. Or we have a house fire that, you know, starts something. So, fireplaces.
An MVA.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, one caution that I would have about signing that agreement is fire and conditions are everything. So if it takes 10 days to get your permit, I can give you a perfect example up there at Groundhog. I got some state ground, and they've got as many piles as Earl Brumley had. Well, we had the wettest winter we've had in a long time. He took the right opportunity at the right time to set those fires without burning up the whole forest.
Mhm.
The state, on the other hand, had to file a air quality. Anyway, the opportune passed. Now they're going to come back And next time, you know, when they try to catch it on fire, the conditions might not be right, and you might burn something up. So the government's very slow, and sometimes with fire, you need to have the right, well, you have to have the right conditions, or you shouldn't
Yeah.
light the match.
And most of that stuff is too much to have it chipped. It's just way too much material to have it chipped and utilized. And so I get that, I understand that. There's a private landowner that shares property with me above Mancus, and he did a great job. But he worked with the Forest Service on when he could burn, and there wasn't any big issue about it. But, you know, you got to have those working relationships, for Christ's sakes. You got to be able to get some things done to make it safer. And that's kind of where we're at. But I'm not bringing a request for a fire ban, okay? So far, we're okay. We're okay.
That means we're gonna get snow here pretty soon.
That's what I'm hoping. Better talk to James, because I don't know. It's not looking real
Very
good.
good job right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Rob, Road and Bridge. Good morning, Rob. How are you today?
Good. How are you guys?
Think we had a really nice trip over to Alamosa.
Yes, I thought that went well. I was going to mention that this morning, that the DOLA to the public went well. And I thought we had a very positive response at the questions. There was no questions. That's a good sign, yeah. So-
Had one guy on the board, one guy on the DOLA board, the committee that reviews the application, does all that, named Mr. Kinder, happened to be a man named Frank Kinder, wanted to know if they couldn't just give us some more money. Our application was so good, can't we find a way to give them some more money? We said, bring it on, bring it.
They quit talking about it though real quick.
Their
yeah.
chairman shut him down pretty
He's like,
quick.
we'll discuss that in our private session.
Yeah, it was funny.
But it was a good presentation, I guess. I think we made our points very well, and the big issue is, you know, funding and how it gets dispersed throughout the DOLA state projects, and again, I think we bring a good proposal every time we go up there, so, or wherever the meetings are.
We've been successful
Yes.
every time, Rob, and I think that will continue, especially after what you presented over there and the way the board accepted it and the way they all looked and agreed with that. I think I think Mr. Kinder hit it on the button. We should have asked for more.
Yeah, we really
And
should, yeah.
the fact that we're always accepted, I think that's a tribute to your leadership and
Without it,
thoroughness. So
without
we
it.
appreciate
Well, I'll tell you, that DOLA is something that, as Keenan has said for 6 years to me now, we deserve that because of our
Absolutely.
energy,
We're
grants, our
impacted.
energy taxes,
Exactly.
and give some of that back, and they see it our way too, I guess.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
So I think we haven't been awarded the money yet, but I do think that we'll probably know more at CCI how it looks, and I feel very comfortable
Well,
that
they
we'll
thought by
probably.
around Thanksgiving or by CCI, they ought to have
Yeah.
a decision made.
So, and you know, it just continues the bigger plan, which is to complete the Pleasant View Loop, as we call it, and then move down Road 10 towards the Hoven Weep, and there's about 6 miles there that's in desperate need of help, and then on into Yellow Jacket, you know, because we haven't spent a lot of time at Yellow Jacket either. We did give them a point, we've been out at Cow Canyon, but we still have a big operation there at Yellow Jacket too. So, yeah, so. Anyway, schedule. Last week, go over what we kind of did. It's been a few days with the holiday there, but we had the general maintenance and the crack seal, or general maintenance going on in the Cortez district. They're back this week. They've got a few things to catch up with, and then getting into crack seal on the 18th. Dolores district has been doing crack seal now last week and this week, and they're doing real well. That stuff goes through a lot of that material, so you know, we have to watch what we do there. We start spending a lot of money on it because there's cracks everywhere. So we truly try to focus on, I know they'd like to fix it all. The guys really do. But I really want to just focus on the ones that we're going to be doing overlays on, or maybe some chip sealing that it's preventative measures underneath a new lift. So that's kind of what Junior's working on, and Dolores is working through that stuff. And then next week on the 18th, he wants to start blading some roads again. The roads, generally speaking, throughout the county are pretty good, but there's some troubled spots, and it's water. It's just a lack of moisture, and we fix them and they blow out again, and we fix them and they blow out again. And I know some folks think we're not paying attention to them, but we are. We know they're there. We just can't get the resources and the water to them, you know. So the ditches are dry and the canals are empty, and that season is here, and we're not getting any fall rains. So just bear with us. We're trying to get to them as quick as we can. So, or if we have the water, we'll get there. So, Roundup District is also taking care of the 7th Street extension work. That's going along pretty well. So that group is staying right there, along with doing some graveling on out at Yellow Jacket, Pleasant View area. We've got some Road 15 out at Pleasant View that's part of the truck bypass stuff, and it's needing some gravel before winter hits. So we're going to get onto that next week and get that done. The crusher, they've been helping last week with Sligo, or the extension work, and then they're back up there getting ready to move the crusher out of hay camp this week and doing some maintenance, and then they'll start moving. We've got to go fix the road going up to the Ormiston pit. It's a mess with all these hunters. So I'm telling the guys, just let the hunters get out of the way, and I think that ends next week, and then we'll go up and blade that road. It's our obligation to blade the road when we're working in that pit. So Dolores County hadn't touched it, so I heard this weekend it's a disaster. So I don't even want to try and pull equipment up there to go fix it. So the 7th Street extension work, like I said, it's going good. We've been working on our cuts and fills. We will this morning, probably since I left this morning, they're working towards that, get some end dumps in there now. We're ready to start hauling some of the dirt from the west end all the way to the east end with our balance. The bigger, deeper cuts are pretty close to being done. The bigger, deeper fills are coming up, and it's hard to tell at this point. Looking at it last Thursday, looked like we could have a little bit of excess dirt, but you know, I never say that till we're done. So we could be a little short on dirt too. So, we just leave it alone. We're not gonna venture into the crystal ball quite yet. We'll see how we go this week with our cuts, but it's looking positive that we should wrap up that cut fill operation by this week, and that's Thursday. And then we'll get into pulling the slopes, shaping the edges, pulling the ditches, getting everything shaped to a subgrade, and then ready for gravel. Culverts are in. All the culverts got put in last week. We do have the sleeves to cut across the road once we get it built for the utilities. Get those in. And then work on some driveways that we worked with the owners on to get their driveways put in after we get this all shaped. And then the gravel. Now, whether we have to do some over-Xing for gravel or whether we don't, I don't know yet. We've got soil samples. Troutner's taking tests. Our densities are in the 94-95% range. Moistures are perfect. But we're going into that east end where we have a little bit more of that gray clay shell looking stuff. It actually tests to be a little sandier than we thought it was. We've went over it with heavy loads, trucks. It's not moving. So that's good science. So maybe we won't have to do a lot of over-X. If we do, then we'll probably pull it out of Ormiston and bring that better gravel in from Ormiston to do some over-X in there. So in the meantime, I think we're looking pretty good. The weather, there's some indications that we might be seeing a little weather glitch next Wednesday or Thursday. Some say a little more snow, some say none, so we'll see. The temperatures are still in the 50s.
Says none.
Pardon me?
James Andrews says none.
I missed that this morning, so okay, so the construction season continues then. We'll
Till December 31st.
Right, so if that's the case, we will be getting the gravel on it this year, absolutely. So we're in good shape to do that, so.
Well, I'll tell you, that'd be sweet if you could get that thing roughed in and gravelled and then let traffic work on that all winter and into next, well,
Yeah.
that'd set that up nice for next summer, wouldn't it?
Well, it's with the holidays and then that one, we lost, really, we didn't work on it 1 week. We tried, we gave it the old American try. We shouldn't have ever done it, but it was, 0 degree, well, it wasn't zero, but it felt like zero. It was very, very cold. And we had to quit because it was freezing the material. It was that cold. So we lost that week, basically. Then we had a great week last week. It was warm and they knocked a lot of work out last week. So this isn't that big of a job. It's just, it's the wrong time of year to.
Just tough
time of year. I shouldn't say wrong. It's just tough right now, right? So there's where we're at with 7th Street. I've talked to the utility companies. They're doing their thing. I don't know when, where, or how. They're all going to be there. And of course, they can come put their utilities in any time. It doesn't have anything to do with building the road. So they're off to the side anyway. So
good.
So I'd like to see them in before we pave. Just
Oh,
in
yeah,
case there's
yeah,
some
I
other
think
issues,
I'd
but-
make that a requirement,
Yeah,
Bob, if I were you.
yeah,
I really would. I'd say, hey, you got all winter next spring, and when we start putting asphalt, all that stuff.
Yeah, do it now or forever hold your wishes, because it could be a
Or you
problem.
bore it.
Or what?
Or you're bored, there you go, yeah.
Or you're bored, yeah, you
Yes.
absolutely do. Absolutely.
Perfect call, right there.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So there's that. On the 18th, we have now scheduled a very, looks like an interesting meeting with the Alkali Bridge group. The designers will be there, the environmental people will be there, CDOT and Force will be at this meeting. We'll have it at my office out there at the county building, or at the armory. Looking at possibly 15 people between all of them to come in, and we've got now the plan, and I've looked at the bridge review plans, and it's more in line with what I was hoping to see, and that's basically a 70-foot span with concrete girders with a super built into it. A little bit of road alignment, realignment, but nothing real radical. A lot of riprap underneath under the abutments. A simple abutment plan, with some H-pile and a concrete abutment to set on. We got it scaled back to what should be, what I think is a fairly cost-effective bridge. So anyway, we're finally getting to that point where we get to sit down and discuss with CDOT if this is the one we're going to run with. This is the one we'll go out and we have to apply for more funding to build a bridge. So I think this might be an interesting meeting. So that's on the 18th, and of course, any of you are welcome to join us. If you want to go, I'll send you a reminder, and we'll throw another chair in the room. So I don't know if it's a 2-hour meeting or an 8-hour meeting at this point, but it is, at least we're meeting, and that's a good sign. So that's good. After this much time, I'm glad to see that rolling in. So let's see, Road 21 and B, you guys were talking about that a little bit this morning. I am working with Four Corners to pave Road B. They're hoping to do it the week of the 18th, but it could be even that 3 days before Thanksgiving. We'll make sure we have trucks on the road for them. I've got to talk to them, see how many. I can put 7. We own 7 belly dumps, so that might be enough to do this, I would hope. Shouldn't take over a day anyway. They gave me a price to pave it, and we haul it, so that helps with the overall cost. And then I'll get guys down there to dress it up, blade it, water it, roll it. We'll get a roller down there a day or so before, and then that way it's ready to go. So, as far as the county goes, we're in good shape. I was down there last week, looked at it, and the work we did to widen it out is all nice and tight now. Just needs to be bladed and shaped a little bit, and we're ready to go. So I do like their approach. They did a nice radius coming off of B into 491 and picking up that skew on 491. Very nice. It's got big turns, big radiuses. The porters gave them some property to turn that corner better. Man, if you don't like that,
You ain't gonna like anything,
I don't know what
are
you
you?
like.
Yeah.
So to be
Whether
honest,
you're a truck driver, a car driver, or
Exactly.
whatever, it's,
Yeah.
they did it right.
They
Yeah,
did some
looks
nice
good.
design there, yeah. So overall, I think in the big picture for safety and turning left or right off that, it's gonna be a big improvement there, yeah. So that's good. I did talk to some of the folks live down there, and they're very interested in this road closure on 21. I think that'll be a discussion we have to have now from south of one property owner to the end. We did assure them that would be blocked off for traffic, and everybody turns on B now, other than this emergency plan we're kind of discussing. So it might be 2 gates we have to work with, yeah.
That could be true, right?
so-
One coming off the highway and then also one going on down 21.
South of Mr. Ramble's place there, yeah, so just keep that in mind. That was some of the earlier agreements that we told the landowners we would work with them on. I don't think we want to necessarily give up our obligations to the road, but, we've got utilities in there, we've got other things in there, other people need in and out of there. But we did offer them that semi kind of closure to keep that everybody can go in and
I
out.
think we have to
Yeah.
uphold that, and it's just.
We never voted on that.
We never did.
We never voted on that.
No, we didn't.
So
So-
there's 3 minds here, and I don't like the fact that I'm being drug into something that I agreed to something that I didn't agree upon without a vote.
Well, if I misstated it, I
Okay,
apologize. But that was some conversations we've had with
Right.
these landowners, yes, so. If you want to vote, vote.
So
I'm
you're,
not
you're
saying-
talking about closing at that 600 feet south of B Road? Is that kind of that?
Plus or
roughly
minus,
plus
right
or
at the end of Mr. Ramble's property line there.
Right,
Yeah.
and then the rest of it would remain closed up to the.
Yeah, we have no use in there anymore, unless, but that was based on closing Road 21 permanently,
Correct.
right?
Well, but, and my view is this, it's a county road, meaning that 30,000 people that live in this county, whatever it is, that's their road. It's not the end property owner's road.
Absolutely.
So that's who I'm representing, the 30,000 people, not the 2 people that have that land. And
No,
that's why there's never been a vote.
Totally agree.
I think we have to figure out with CDOT really where we're
Exactly.
at, first of all,
Right.
which I'll get a hold of Kevin today.
Exactly.
We were talking about that earlier. Because he said after the 8th, they should be done with that middle mat, and they'll know exactly what their funds are, what they can actually fund if it's a 400. But those emails always lean to 400 tons instead of 800.
I don't think you're gonna get over 400 ton, not without some legal action. You know,
Yeah,
that's
so
just the way it
It's
is.
just a matter of what we decide, how we're gonna approach it.
But I'm glad we're talking about the road, because that was always part of the conversation is we no longer, if they close it permanent, we no longer have a use for it. And we don't own it. We have an easement through it. The landowners own to the middle of the road.
That's correct.
So we have an easement. We have a right to use it as long as we need it, I assume. But that would be the way to look at it. But if the need goes away, then who am I to sit there and fight with the landowner over it, you know? So,
Well, we've had 2 cases of where there's been wrecks on 491 where we've needed the easement
That's-
to redirect traffic.
that's why I brought it up today with the second gate. Because if we stick with what we discussed, I don't want to say agreed, because you're right, we never voted on it. But if we stick with what we discussed with these landowners, that was the discussion. And that won't come up, and so I'm just reminding everybody, so.
But I think the direction that we're going to go is going to be dependent upon what CDOT does in relation to our agreement, and then we'll take that road situation depending on how they renege or go with the agreed deal. But,
Well, I think if you put a knock-off lock on that one gate, you've got yourself a situation where I don't know if the second gate is justified, Mr. Sukla, I agree with you. You've got to now commit yourself to an open road for future emergencies. Different situation, absolutely, so, yep, I agree with you. So. Okay, so anyway,
when we get there.
yeah, we
Well,
got a
we're
lot to
getting there
talk
pretty
about with that
quick.
one.
Well,
so.
we're waiting on,
That hurdle's like 2 steps away right now.
The big thing for me in the next 2 weeks is get Road B paved before winter sets in, and we have a mess there, so. And I think that's gonna happen now. It's gonna cost us some money, you know, in the front end, and hopefully we can recover it in the back end with some agreements or negotiations or legal action or whatever. But I said from day one, I don't want them to do it for free, I just want them to replace what they took out of service.
Sure.
That's all I ever said.
Yeah. No, for them to
Done
get
deal.
what they
Exactly,
wanted.
you're right.
Done deal.
For
Done
them to
deal.
get what they
Yeah.
wanted, they needed to make this whole, and,
If we think it's worth $4 million, then I want $4 million in return, you know?
and if
You're
they're
exactly right.
if
Kinda
they're
the way
not
I
gonna
look
do
at
it, then they're not gonna get what we offered to give them.
Yep, that's one of our tools.
That's
Yeah,
right.
so, anyway, let's see, what else? Road 21B. Oh, the fire station. I see that's come up a little bit on some emails. Some thoughts for you guys as you negotiate our way through that is, yes, we would like the fire station at Pleasant View. Is it perfect for us? No, we'll have to do some remodeling to get some door heights changed, maybe a few widths here and there, but well within our budgets to change the shape of the building somewhat for an access out of it. So it could hold blades, it can't hold snow plows, you can do some major things. But I do think that somewhere down the road, and it might not even be while I'm here, but somewhere down the road, somebody will say, let's put another district together in the roundup. It's a big district, it's got a lot of miles. A Pleasant View district that would encompass the north end of Yellow Jacket to the county line,
Way out.
plus or minus a road here or there, probably will happen as time goes by, more people move out there, more demand is there, and it's coming. I can see it in the past 5 years. Brett and I have done a lot of good things out there, but it's almost like we can't keep up with that anymore. And I think that down the road, in the future, another district foreman and a crew dedicated to the north part of that roundup district will probably be something we'll want to do, or the next group of commissioners will want to do. So this building fits into that very well. It ties into now a shop, a office area, a place to run business out of. Whereas if we just have an old Quonset out there with a 1926 wood burning stove in it, you know? So, and nobody knows about that because it's an antique and they might steal it, you know? So, yeah.
What do you store in there now?
We put a blade in there, so we can actually fit 2 blades in it. During the winter, we use it a lot to store blades. We actually, we don't use a lot of the snow fence anymore. With the equipment we have, we just don't see a need for it. But a lot of that old snow fence is stored in there, rolled up and put away. I'm not saying we don't want it, so I don't want to just throw it in the dump, you know?
So you could use it just for storage.
Storage.
What is,
and-
what is the access out of there if it's not being used as a fire station? Because isn't that pretty limited?
I didn't understand the question.
The access that, if they were to sell it to somebody else,
Oh.
there's not a lot of access that they have there.
Well, no, and that's kind of part of the problem. It has a fair appraisal. I thought Maggie Love did a great job on her appraisal. She did her comps very well, and she did a very good appraisal, but they only own the concrete slab in front of the doors.
That's what I,
10 feet, 12 feet, whatever those slabs are, not very much.
Holy moly.
So, you know, if worse come to worse, say a business bought it, we'd probably want to put a chain link fence right along there, separate our materials and all that. And it's like, how do I get in this thing now? Now, there are the 2 doors on the south end that do access Road CC. Those are certainly accessible to a business. So there lies the problem.
Would be blocked off.
Yeah. The county gave the fire department just a little tiny piece of property to put their building on. And it does restrict them on access. So we'll have to give them an easement. We'll have to go through the county to allow an easement to go in and out of those west doors, or build a fence and block them off, you know, so depends on what's going on. So that is an issue there. So, and Maggie does refer to that in her appraisal, so.
Correct, and we've had that first conversation, you know, I had that last week, so we'll continue that.
Yeah.
As we start moving forward with them, because I think they're supposed to get moved into that new building pretty quickly now,
That's good.
so they'll
I
be
think
functioning out of
They
there.
want to have an idea from us by year's end, definitely on this.
That's what my point is today. How we get to a price, that we'll figure that out. But I do think it would benefit the road department to have it. If not now and immediately now, it will be something in the future that will become very important to us. You know, one time, I've probably mentioned in this meeting that I'd like to tear the Quonset down and open that all up. But, you know, the Quonset makes good sand storage too.
Sure.
And them trucks are running clear down to the roundup to get a load of sand and then all the way back out to Pleasant View. You know, it ain't the best sand shed in the world, but if you can keep enough in there to keep them going in a storm until we bring some more out, might pay, you know. Go in there and put a few little concrete blocks or building blocks inside there to push against a little bit, and we might be able to save a trip all the way back to Roundup Junction to get a load of sand to go all the way back to Pleasant View. So I don't know that I'd tear the Quonset down now just for that reason. So, yeah. So anyway, I do see that. And, you know, while we're buying land, let's go buy some of Mancus Dolores and we'll build a new shop there too.
Slow down, baby, slow down.
Somebody asked me for some capital ideas the other day.
Slow down. Well, that's good, the 5-year plan, I like that though. You know, what
Yeah.
you say there
Well,
has merit.
I figured
read 'em
from,
all.
you know, Summit Ridge, it's downhill both ways. It's easy to get there, you know, so we don't have to climb out of the hole.
We'll have to climb out of that lost canyon.
When you're driving old 1926 plow trucks, you want to think downhill, so. Anyway,
that's right. That's right. You go 4 times as fast.
yeah, so, but we gotta go uphill to get the sand. you know,
Yeah, I
so.
gotta go, yeah. It's uphill one way or the other.
One way or the other, so. Anyway, that's about all I got this week, so. Any questions?
Okay.
Good?
All right, I'm good. I'm good.
So I guess next time we see each other, probably be CCI?
Yeah.
Probably.
Gonna
I
be
don't
right
think
close to
December-
it, yeah.
Unless
Yeah,
I got one more meeting there or
First
something.
week, first Monday in December is when we go over, yeah.
Yeah.
The second.
Okay.
You're right.
Checking the email that you sent, I just want you to be verified. We always leave, it would be 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. We leave on the 4th. We come back home. I don't know if you was aware of
Yeah,
that.
because we usually end up in
Breakfast,
midday,
yeah.
like
Midday.
1 o'clock, and then we drive home that
I
afternoon.
didn't hope you did get a hotel for the 5th.
Nope, we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
Okay,
All righty.
all right, see you
Thank
guys.
Rob.
Mhm.
All right, now we're going to have a discussion, a commissioner discussion on the senior center kitchen remodel, fairgrounds kitchen and bathroom remodel, and a fairway entrance enhancement with Janine Denny. Is Ms. Denny here?
No.
She's not, she
she's
just sent
not.
these
This
to
is
me,
just the
but
discussion.
before we obviously authorized anything, I wanted you guys to look these over.
Yeah.
For the fairgrounds, we don't necessarily need any documents that have to go for approval for a permit process. We will have to do it within the city, so we're pretty much required to have to do
Yeah,
this
with the
within the
city.
senior center.
Yeah.
But, so let's see, what do we have here, Chuck? This is for,
Which one do you want to go
it
first?
doesn't matter, just pick one. So
Okay.
this is,
This is the fairground.
so this is for the fairground, this is how it's broken out. 20% due now, 30% phase one, and 30% phase two. And then she'll do all the construction documents, take care of the bid work, and then coordinate with the owners and the contractors and follow up with any of the issues. So for that out there, it's $4,400. Go to the next one, Shaq.
I'm going to have to ask, I think this is absolutely ridiculous. You tell me that contractors out there cannot design and do a bathroom. We're going to spend $6,000 for an architect how to tell us how to put a toilet in. I mean, this is ridiculous.
I don't think it's, I think it's more than that. This is for the.
I don't,
the
and we're going to
kitchen
vote on this. This is absolutely
and the bathroom.
ridiculous. A bathroom and a kitchen does not need to
But
have
there's more
$5,000,
to it because it
$6,000.
all has to meet and comply to ADA.
Yes, and
One
these
of the
builders are
problems
very
that we
capable
have
of that.
out there, and they also bid off of a set of prints. Right now, what we do, just like Larry comes in and offers us a paper napkin, and that's very hard and difficult to bid off of. So I would disagree with you, is we do need to do it properly, and we do need to have it set out so that everybody has the same set, and you're bidding apples per apple. So this is for the fairgrounds. We don't have a choice within the city. We don't have a choice. So
Yeah,
if
but
we're
we
gonna
do
a
have it,
remodel-
there's my point. We do have a choice at the fairgrounds. We don't have to act like we're the city. They're broke. We're not.
I'm not saying that.
And-
I'm saying that we have to comply. That still has
And
to
the
comply
builders are
with
very
ADA.
capable out there
Okay.
of doing a bathroom remodel.
So
for
this
God's
is,
sake.
this is for the kitchen. This is also so that it will mimic what we're doing for both kitchens, for the fairground, so that we can upgrade it to a kitchen that's worthy of being called a kitchen. What we have out there right now really is not. So the kitchen is $5,900. You can go to the next one, Shaq. So there are three different proposals. Here's one for the fairgrounds, one for the senior center, and the third one is for the out front,
That canopy.
or the, right.
Enter.
Whichever way we decide to go with it, either to the west or the north. So those are the three proposals, broken down individually so that you can
Well,
choose
I agree with
one or
that.
none.
The city, and their permitting to do this kind of remodel, we're gonna have to do this for the city of Cortez no matter what. I mean, they're just based on their zoning.
Right,
requirements
but
and
not
all
at the
that.
fairgrounds.
But no, the fairgrounds, but one thing I think I don't know if I can appreciate it $4,400 worth or not, or if that will, in the end all of constructing that bathroom, because that's gonna be a fairly major project for our fairgrounds building, to do the bathrooms and do the kitchen, because they're connected. I would like to be sure that whatever we build out there with the kitchen and the bathrooms is the most efficient, most workable, is the smartest way to build it. And I don't disagree with you, Commissioner, that we've got a lot of contractors that once they see a set of plans, will go out there and build that thing in a heartbeat. I mean, they'll be able to I do not know that if we can just say, hey, Joe, we want to go out there and redo the bathroom, we want to update it and make it ADA, and then we want to redo the kitchen. Can you do that for us? And he says, well, I can do that for you, but I don't know if he can go out there and start building that and beating it all together and do it.
Well, they build $500,000 homes that way.
Well, but-
and we
Here's the
just got a
difference, is you
government.
have constructors, not designers. They're not, we're looking for the design to give it to the constructors.
Well, there is actually builders out there that do the design and they can, as well.
We could do a design build, if
Yeah.
that's the way you want to go, there, absolutely.
Yeah.
Teams are put together for design builds all the time.
Yeah.
But
Well, you're
if we
talking
wanna get this thing-
$15,000 for an architect if you add the three together.
Well.
How much?
Well, didn't you say
No,
there's,
they're like $15,000 for all three of them,
yeah,
5,000 apiece,
yeah,
basically.
that's what I said, $15,000.
Well, one we know we're gonna have to do. This one, a design build or something with a contractor, to do the design build, do you put it out for bid first and then?
To do a design build, most of the contractors are gonna go get an architect anyway, because all of it goes back to the architect to design it. They construct it, they don't design. So you have to separate that. You know, one of the things that we continually fight until we start doing our RFPs better, they're all over the board because everybody's like, well, yeah, I'll do this and I'll do this. And this way, when it's laid out,
And that's
everybody's
why
bidding
we
the
did
same
government,
job.
what was it, government.gov, we paid $8,000.
GovSpend.
That's for the RFP. This is for the actual design.
Well, put in the
So once-
RFP that you want to design as well. I cannot believe that you can have one of these guys go out there and build $1 million home, one of these builders, but yet we're going to pay $5,000 to put in some toilets. I just can't believe it.
They can build that, but Larry, Don, I think you're skipping a step here. They can build that $1 million home and do it very well, but they've got a set of blueprints and plans that were drawn up by somebody that says the toilets go here, the pantry goes here, the bedroom's here, and all. They've got a set of plans to do that on.
Well, not all of them, because I built my home off of a napkin. I gave it to the builder and he built it off of a napkin.
But that's not the best way to do it.
Huh?
It's not the best way
The
to do
home's
it.
still there.
I didn't say it was I said it's not the best way.
Yeah, it's better to waste money.
So,
This-
it's,
I can go
Or
6
discussion.
and 1.5 dozen. A good set of plans that are designed and drawn up and done correctly can save us probably that much money.
But we're
And
not talking
change-
about the Taj Mahal.
No, no,
We're
no.
talking about a bathroom and a kitchen. I mean, we're,
the two most critical parts
and they
of
have
that
to meet
fairground.
inspections. They have to meet all the inspections for the kitchen, or there's already inspectors. That's what they do. If they don't meet those inspections, then it doesn't pass. If they don't meet the, so there's already.
There's no inspections for the design of that kitchen. None.
No, but there's inspections that the plumbing is in design that.
Okay, well, we're
that
talking about two
capacity-
different things. We're talking about the design of the kitchen. And the design to meet all of the ADA requirements, because they're not being met right now. And if we're gonna upgrade it, then we need to meet those for the people of this community.
Well, I'm gonna see I'm gonna lose, but I think it's a waste of money. These guys build houses every day. They build bathrooms every day. It's not like it's their first go around. So,
I'm not,
can your
there's
son build a
design-
bathroom without having a set of plans?
no.
Can you build a bathroom without having?
He
a
always
set
has
of
a set of prints before we move forward.
plans? So he's not capable of doing it without a set of
I
plans.
didn't say he wasn't capable. I said we always have a design before we develop what we're trying to get to the end product. Anyway, we've had the money in there to get this kitchen and bathrooms done, and without a design, we're never going to be able to bid a project.
Well, that's how we ended up there, I think, at the senior center right now. We tried to put it out to bid. We got people that came in and looked, said, well, wait, this concrete, we don't know what this is, we got.
That's all we had for the senior center.
And it ended up being we couldn't get anybody to bid on it, because nobody knew what to.
Well, I
We
want
did
to stick
have
with the
bids, but they
fairgrounds,
were
because the
different.
senior center, we already have the city land that's gonna require this, but all I'm saying is the fairground, are we changing the size of the rooms?
In the
already
bathrooms, we
there.
are. No, we're not. We're changing
We
them.
are changing the size.
We have to meet ADA requirements,
They're gonna be
so
big.
they have to be removed.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be a major project. I mean, it's gonna be a major project.
There's a lot more there than what, it's not as,
It's not going out and pulling out the toilets and putting in new toilets.
I know, but I guess what I'm gonna say is, this courthouse, they wanted us to spend $4 million to redo what we did here at this courthouse. We did it for $200,000 without an architect.
Oh, you mean when they?
We remodeled it while we're in this room.
Well, yeah.
We did it in-house, and we did it for $200,000 instead of $4 million because of what the architect had proposed.
Well,
We,
but
we
that-
control what we tell the architect to put in here. It's the design. We can control everything else, whether the flooring, the wall, I mean, we can control all of that. But if we don't have a design, we don't know, we're gonna end up with a kitchen like we have out there right now, which is horrible.
Well, I don't think anybody with common sense would rebuild the same thing that they already know doesn't work.
But without a design, where do you start?
I'd start at Main Street Brewery. And I would look at how they put the urinal in, and then I would go to everything that, anyway, let's go on.
It's just a proposal. If you guys don't like it, we can
Well, I'd like to talk to some builders and ask
We
them
can go
if they
anywhere
would
you
do a
wanna go.
design and build, and see if they would bid on it and using our new government program, just to see if we get a better deal. I mean, did we go out for proposals to get the architect?
We didn't, because this is below $5,000 on anything. We don't have to accept any of them, or we can accept all of them. We just talked about the outside. If we don't want to do that, we don't even have to consider that one. But if we're trying to do the upgrade to make that facility to where it's utilized more, then it needs to be, the functionality has to be there. And if it's not meeting the simple ADA requirements there, then we're not serving our community properly. It has to meet a criteria that's at least a minimum.
Well, let's move on.
Well, then I would move that we accept the proposals for the kitchen remodel for the fairgrounds along with the bathroom, kitchen remodel for the senior center, and for the outdoor canopy at the fairgrounds,
Whether that be west or north.
west or north. That'll just have to be laid out.
You'll have to second that, Commissioner. I would just go up to the event center in Montrose, and I would look at their bathroom, and then I would know how to build it.
But they still have a plan.
Yeah, but they would give me their plan.
I'll second that motion. It's been moved and seconded to approve JDL Architecture on 3 proposals, one for the kitchen remodel at the senior center, one for the bathrooms and kitchen remodel of the Montezuma County Fairgrounds, and one for a portico entry design for either the north or west side of the main fair building, the indoor arena fair building, to update the exterior of that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
All right. Motion did carry, Mr. Powers, so if you will contact JDL Architecture and have her get to work on this, because I want to get this stuff done. Okay.
And then this is just housekeeping that we actually opened all of these bids last week. We have one for the for the landfill, and Shaq and I reviewed it, and that we only had one bidder at the cost of $11,970, which is the apparent low bidder. So I would move that we accept this bid and get this work scheduled.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Daniel's Concrete and Excavation to do a concrete slab at the Montezuma County landfill in the amount of $11,970. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the next one is for the 2020,
You have them? Okay.
2020 cleaning contracts. Again, Shaq and I went over all of these and looked at them. Did you have any questions on
check sheet.
Redfin?
Well, she's checking references today. Let me see where
Okay.
we're at with that.
So we just need to finish on those two, but we can go down to Annex number 1, which we recommend Schaefer's Cleaning at 1604.16, which was the apparent low bidder. Monica's Cleaning Service at $450 a month for the road and bridge. Monica's Cleaning Service, $1,100 a month for the county sheriff. Monica's $4,800 for the county administration building here. And Monica's Cleaning Service, $4,800 for the combined courts. And these are all the apparent low bidders. And if we get back to those as soon as Shaq comes back, we had 3 different bidders on the Annex number 3 building. Redfin was the apparent low bidder at $1,300 per month, and Redfin is the apparent low bidder at $200 per month for the MoCo.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the low bidders for cleaning operation contracts for Montezuma County. Redfin Janitorial LLC at $1,300 a month for Annex 3. Redfin Janitorial LLC, $200 per month, Montezuma County MoCo Transportation Department. Schaefer Cleaning, $1,604.16 per month in Montezuma County Annex 1. Monica's Cleaning Service, $450 a month at Montezuma County Road and Bridge. Monica's Cleaning and Service at $1,100 per month for the Montezuma County Sheriff's Office. And Monica's Cleaning Service at $4,800 per month for the Montezuma County Combined Courts. And Monica's Cleaning Service, $4,800 a month for the Montezuma County Administration Building. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That is a whopping $171,049.92 a year for cleaning.
How much did it come to?
Pretty clean place.
It better be
171,
clean. It better be just.
171,049.92.
And we did look at putting our own cleaning service together at Montezuma County employees, and it doesn't pan out, and Commissioner Candelaria and Shaq put the pencil to it with benefits and wages. We can't do it.
No, I know.
I said, I think every building, every department, every building ought to take on their own building, start cleaning them themselves. And I don't think that passed either.
They do shovel snow though, Shaq, right?
Yes.
Who shovels snow?
Shaq gave everybody a shovel.
I put shovels at all the doors, so
Did
when
you?
maintenance can't keep up, everybody who's on a slow day can get out there and help.
Nice. Did you take some of those out to the combined courts and see if we can get the judges and deputies and those to shovel out there too?
Go fish.
Gosh, I just thought I'd ask. Simple ask. Okay. County Attorney Report.
I don't have too much. This morning, our PAX trial got moved from December to October of 2020.
Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord.
We discussed some other issues. They also recently filed an inverse condemnation action on us, which it sounds like the court's going to
Think
stay.
your mic's off again?
It's on.
Is it?
Yeah, but I might not be close enough. So that's going to be drug out for some time. That was not at our request. We objected to that. And I don't know if you want to talk about the draft Wolves resolution. I just sent it to Shaq. So Garfield County and perhaps some other counties passed a resolution. It's essentially a political position statement saying we oppose the introduction of wolves into Colorado. I tailored it a little bit for Montezuma County, and so it's slightly different. I did, when I spoke with you, Larry, or when I emailed you, Larry Don, I stated I hadn't seen the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission resolution. I do have that now.
They're
I've seen
against
it. Right. Just because I was putting it in this resolution and I hadn't read it, but I've read it now, and it certainly does say what we say it says, what Garfield County says it says. The one thing that I don't have knowledge of in here is that I think it stated Garfield County said something about that there was scientific input from federal and state agencies tasked with managing wildlife populations. I don't know what that scientific data is or input they have is, and so I don't know if you want to take that line out, or if we want to trust that's accurate. I assume it's accurate, but when I'm saying it and I don't have knowledge of it, I feel like I should disclaim
Well,
that.
what I was hoping is that we could move this forward for a public hearing or
Yeah.
an official agenda item.
Well,
We can do that.
and I think this also kind of falls in with our resolution of no
Non-invasive
Invasive
species.
yeah, and
Yep.
species that are not of our
Yeah.
county and stuff.
That one's a little bit stronger. This is
Yeah.
more of just a position statement,
I got you.
is all
Right,
this
it's a
is.
resolution,
Yeah.
which
Do we need to have a public hearing before we?
We
sign
don't,
on
but
to
we
this?
certainly can
Yeah,
ask
we
for
wanna have
public
public
input,
input.
but we do not
could it
have
just-
to.
Could it just be an agenda item on
Sure.
our, that,
For discussion, for
Yeah.
public input, for
Yeah.
whatever, sure.
do you want to put this on then for next,
sure,
or the evening portion of next week?
that would actually,
That might
yes.
be an
that'd
That
be
way
a-
we give
yeah,
more
that's a great
opportunity
idea.
for people to get here.
Great
Sure.
idea.
Good. Yeah, Shaq, if you do that and tell them that we're looking at a wolf management and Montezuma County resolution and like to have their input if they care to come and share it.
Yeah, I wrote it down on a piece of paper that I'll lose promptly.
Write it on your hand then, would you, Shaq?
I've got a Palm Pilot right here.
Remember that term? It was around when blackberries.
Oh, yeah, Palm Pilot, sure, sure. Anything else, Attorney?
No.
Okay. Is James Dietrich in?
He's out this week.
He's out, that's right. You said
He's
he was on the-
presenting for the GOCO.
That's right. Shaq, what do you have?
Nothing.
Nothing.
And I claim to have even less.
That's,
Okay.
it is a nice day.
Some days you get lucky, don't you? All right, Commissioner updates, Commissioner Super?
I got called last Friday to fly to Washington DC on Wednesday and sit at a round table with Dr. Ben Karsten on on affordable housing. I declined the invitation. The state had called me because I don't know the answer, and I didn't think it was fly all the way so I could sit across the room like that and not have an answer input. So I didn't do that. My question to Shaq is that the city of Cortez told us that they would give us an answer on the airport discussion 3 weeks ago, the next day, and I was wondering, since they're 21 days overdue, have they gave us an answer on the airport?
The answer we've received is that it will be presented to council.
And I will be going to that tonight.
And is it being, we don't know though.
I haven't looked at their agenda for tonight.
Nor have I.
The other thing, the Cortez, the city land use code, in my opinion, has lots of faults. I'm looking where they're saying everything needs to be stucco, and then you drive around town, and actually the older stucco houses look way worse than the houses that are the vinyl. And I was wondering if this is proper or not, but if the county was to ever come out and oppose some of their land use regulations, is there, John, has that ever been, I mean, can we, if it affects our citizens out in the county.
I don't think that we formally have authority to veto it, but certainly you can
Right, but we
make a
can-
statement.
I noticed that I see that the cry, the battle cry in La Plata County was great enough that they nixed their land use code, spent $250,000 to pay those people, and then they're not doing it now. They're doing I can't remember what it's called. I think something similar to Gunnison on their land use code. But some of the things in the Cortez land use code is 2 or 3 days, I believe, that you can only have a poster up in your window. And there's just, for me, the city told us that they were going to put the marijuana dispensaries in there so that they can make all this money. And they're broke. They tell us they're broke. So they've got 6 dispensaries or 8, and they have no money, and then they're gonna turn around and put all these restrictions on the future business owners to further put themselves in debt. And I would like, as a county commissioner, or hope as a board, we could have a say about that, because it's detrimental to us in the future. I don't know, I mean,
Well, I look at it on the other side of that fence, that if their land use code becomes so restrictive and so cumbersome and so burdensome, that we're gonna see businesses come to the county.
good point.
I think maybe you just let the man with the sickle cut his own throat. If you wanna be that restrictive and you wanna pound it down and make them pay and make it so burdensome that nobody's gonna come into your town and do a business, boy, I'll tell you what, we got lots of places out on that 491, out 160, 491 South, that we'd be more than happy to. We got a dollar store going right down on the corner of County Road G and 491, and I say, have at it, City of Cortez. Make it tough on them. Make it so damn tough you don't get any more business. Have at it.
That's all I have.
Yeah. But I understand what you're saying. You can regulate yourself into a hole.
This has been 3 years in the making, and there's a lot of people. I happen to be one of those that have submitted comments individually, not as a commissioner.
Oh, it's a
But,
business owner and operator in the City of
correct.
Cortez?
So it's just a matter of which way they decide they want to go. And I would agree with Commissioner Tell, is if it gets too much there, they're going to start looking if they want to stay here toward the county. And I think that's where we need to be
We need to begin
looking,
position ourselves.
getting that position of where are we going to start inviting these people and how are we going to make that happen. I think that should be our vision, not, I mean, there's a jurisdictional boundary that is not ours. Just like in Dolores or Mancos, they create their own regulations, and although they're in our county, that is theirs to regulate.
Mhm.
So I think we just need to look and focus more of how do we invite them to come and stay within the unincorporated part of the county.
And I agree with both of you, but there's aspects of their land use code that it can affect our county residents. It's just like the airport. You know, we can't seem to get the city to move forward on expanding the airport, but it's affecting our whole county, even though that's their jurisdiction. And I'm so passionate about it. I think that the airport expansion is so important that I believe that the county should take countermeasures if the city refuses to work with the county. We're sitting there with our open arms. Let us help you. We can't even get a response back.
And we'll hopefully, or myself tonight will ask that question again to see where have they ended up, because we are offering to assist, which does benefit our entire county.
Mhm.
So that's a focus in a positive way to affect that, to take care of all of our people.
Let me throw this out there, and you guys can discuss it however you want, but we have a lot of contractors whose shops or whatever are in the county, but they do a lot of work within the city. How will their land use code affect our people who have their shops in the county but work within the city limits?
That's my point, precisely. That the city land use code does affect some of our constituents.
I'm not sure I'm following what you're
Yeah, I'm
saying,
not-
how that
I'm not
affects them
either.
working in the city. I mean,
Okay,
Well,
well, let's take Mr. Wilkin, for example. Say he gets a bid to build something in the city limits. How is their land use code going to affect his business?
It's not going to affect the builder at all.
Okay.
As a builder, just as a builder, as a developer, could affect them greatly.
yeah.
So there again, there are two different things. Just as a builder, he's gonna get a document, set of prints that says you have to comply with X, Y, and Z. He can bid the project that way. Or if he's developing it, then it will affect him under that land use code.
So if there was a piece of property in the city limits and a developer wanted to develop a strip mall, but they lived out in the county, their business was in the county, and they tried to develop a strip mall inside the city limits, how will it affect that business owner?
Shouldn't, he should apply,
Two
he'd go
different-
down and apply to get the
It would just cost him more to build it.
Yeah, it's gonna cost you more to build it in the city.
city with that.
That's my point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It does right now, today.
Okay.
I think your point is if you have, we have a lot of business owners that own businesses in the county and will be required to abide by those regulations. However, they live out in the county and they're not allowed to vote on city council members, even though they're generating all the money inside the city, but they're not allowed to vote. However, the city residents can vote for the elected officials out in the county.
Take a business owner, I owned a business, properties, rentals and all that in the city of Cortez, and I've not been able to vote in an election since 1992, since I lived, even though my primary residence is in the city and all the businesses and everything else are, you're still precluded. I mean, you have no say, which I think that's disadvantageous. It gives me no say-so on how they conduct their business and when it directly affects my business, so. So yeah, I don't agree with it, but that's a home rule, that's part of their home rule abilities, and they declare it as such, and when you're a home rule city, you have a lot more room to do what you want to do as a home rule city than you do one as a branch of the state government, yeah. Sometimes yea, sometimes nay, sometimes that's good, sometimes it's not.
On the sheriff's, what I did was the closest county to us that Delta County has 30,000 residents, so we're hitting 26 is what they say, but I think there's more. But anyway, so they have 4,000 more people. I asked them how many deputies they had. They have 13, and they put a ballot initiative in Delta County to add 2 more, and it was defeated. So we've actually, what did he say? We had 16 or 20? What was the number?
13, I think he said.
But that's not, he's got more than that, but I think those are actual patrolmen that are actually out on patrol vehicles. He's got way more.
Somewhere there was a number there.
Got something.
Anyway, I just thought it was interesting that the Delta County they let the citizens decide if they needed more deputies. They put it on the ballot.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, we did that with the LEA.
Mhm.
I mean, that's exactly what that was, and the LEA was proposed with 5 deputies, all that deal, and it was passed. So I don't disagree with that, Commissioner Sukuan. I think that can be a very valid in 2020. We've got another election coming up. If the sheriff needs 3 more patrolmen and 3 more in the jail, do we do another LEA to take care of that? I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, that speaks highly to me. But if the citizens don't think they need no more law enforcement, then maybe we don't need more law enforcement.
Did you read the other personal increase justification for 2019?
Yeah, I read the letter.
Did you read that?
Steve sent us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
the 7 or 8 page letter.
Yeah.
yeah.
And you can make a case, I mean, you can make
Sure.
a case, make a
Sure.
case for anything. I don't, when you're on that side of the fence, man, if you're not arguing for it and not saying this is what I gotta have, need to have, but that's not always the case. And coming up with the money.
I still think we need the sales tax, because if the alcohol and the marijuana are one of the biggest, probably the highest,
Mhm.
I don't have that information in front of me, so I can't speak with data in front of me, but those are the people that are creating a lot of this,
Law enforcement stuff.
and we don't have a way to be able to tax them for the users of it, but the rest of the property owners are paying for it.
Mhm.
And that's where I think we need to focus and go to that, so that those people are actually paying for what they're using, not the rest of all of the property owners that are never
And you know
gonna
what?
be in jail.
I'm gonna be behind that 100%, but I'm also gonna reduce their
Fair enough.
property tax and
That way they're not paying for it, and the sales
Exactly
tax would
right.
take care of it.
Exactly right.
And not only that, you put a portion of that to your fleet, which, how many of sheriff vehicles do we wreck a year? 1, 2? The more you get, faster the speeds, the more you're gonna wreck.
There's
But
another
anyway.
side of that argument, because I actually have a liberal friend that sent me a very interesting article yesterday, and he said that the sales tax is actually disproportionate to to low-income people, that they actually pay more than, and he felt that property taxes, which I disagree with his argument, but that's what he says, is that the poor pay, that it hurts them more than the landowners.
Property taxes
Well,
are
probably
very-
percentage-wise.
Well, I'm not saying I agree with it, I'm just telling
I
you
got you.
that
No,
what
I
I,
hear you.
I'd have to see the data,
Yeah, but
because I'm not sure I
I-
would.
I think they'll be
Agree
talking
with
in the
that.
impeachment hearings here later this week. So I don't know. Here's
I move we go to lunch.
Yeah, I think you're right. Did you have anything else to
No, sir.
report on?
I think we're just,
Mr. Candelaria?
I move we go to lunch.
Okay. I went to the 37th Annual Water and meeting, and it was very, very informative, very good speakers, and water will become our largest, before we're off of this planet, will be the largest issue to confront this state, more so than CO2 pollution, oil and gas, all of it. It'll be the most predominant thing in your lives here before long, so.
And the cure is gonna be using the water coming from the oil wells.
Who's gonna use it? I couldn't hear you.
Fossil water.
If we can't figure out how to desalinate it, we're using fossil
But I'll tell
water.
you, the Israelis have. The Israelis know how to desalinate. I'll tell you, augmentation is gonna be our only answer. If we can't find a way to pipe it from the northwest, desalinate the ocean, something like that, it's gonna be a long, long road to hoe for the rest of us. so.
Discussion for another day, let's eat.
Oh, she's hungry. Do I have a
I
motion?
agree,
Do I have a motion?
absolutely. Let's
Do I have
eat.
a second? Let's go to lunch. Okay. Who's in the line? Commissioner Superman.
Yes. Jim?
We're still live, I'm trying to switch it.
Hi, Tom.
Oh, sorry. I'm their agent.
That could be illegal.
Not if we don't have to pay him, though, right?
The sheriff already
No, there's still.
The sheriff already what?
left. The sheriff left.
It's not like this is live streamed or anything.
So you don't need a motion or anything on that, do you?
No,
Yeah, I don't.
No.
Because
I don't
it's a
see any issue
minor,
with it at
it's
all.
less than 6,
it's just typically with, if it was like a 7 or 8 lot major, it's good to have them get an idea so you don't go through a whole lot of
expense to,
process.
Yeah.
If there's something that they, I mean, the area, it's not really questionable, but some places it could be.
okay.
It could be borderline.
Okay, so we're good to go to
You're
the
good.
next step?
Mhm.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Thanks.
Yeah, they're gonna be real careful on the oil tax station. Okay,
Signatures?
we'll now move on to a signature of an amendment to exemption P-29-95E on Jetson and Virginia McKinney.
Along with that, we also have a variance request, now that the survey work's all done. Can you bring up the map there, Shaq?
Is it under Hudson?
No, it's under McKinney.
McKinney?
What else on it?
I've got McDonald, Young, and
What
Hudson
you
in your
doing, this
BOCC for
tag on deal?
You not put it on there?
I didn't put it on there.
We didn't get it in our planning packet.
It's for Don.
We'll use Elmo.
Sophie's probably, you guys
Yeah,
have
they
it,
do,
yeah.
yes. Is this variance on your personal property, Mr. Haley?
just up there by Fox Saddle Shop, right?
It is Fox Saddle Shop.
Oh,
So
yeah,
there's the mobile home.
yeah.
On this corner, this is one of the variances. It's a 45-foot setback, which would be the variance to a 50-foot setback. Then the saddle shop, being a commercial property right here, would require a 50-foot setback. That request is for a 25-foot from the property line. And then this corral, this is a covered corral, right there, and requesting a 19-foot setback as opposed to a 25-foot setback.
These buildings are all existing and have been forever, haven't
Oh, yeah,
they?
they've been there for,
Yeah.
since the 60s. Virginia and Jed are planning on building a house right here. They're dividing off this property for their daughter. And her mom lives in the mobile home now. The daughter's gonna take the house and they're gonna put a new modular on this west property.
How do they get there?
Come right off 145,
They've
maybe
got-
adding through there.
There's an easement here, this hatched area is an easement.
Oh, okay.
And then they're gonna come and access through here. They've got permission with DWCD and BLM and whoever else is involved. They met with them on that.
Because isn't that where their siphon is their pipe?
Yeah, that's the siphon for the
The canal.
Toyota High Line.
So she's got approval from Bureau of Rec and DWCD for access through that easement.
So it's just a variance for us for these three, 19 feet, 25 feet, and 45 feet.
Correct.
Of
So-
existing structure.
So the yellow line is a new line that's drawn?
The yellow line is the new proposed subdivision line, or exemption amendment line.
Boundary adjustment line.
What that line matches is the existing fence line, north and south.
Because I was gonna say that, couldn't they move it?
Well,
Make the,
That's ours, but it's a fence.
But they're going to do the new boundary line because of the existing fence, and they want to keep the west part of it still pasture as much as possible. They don't want to remove the fence.
Well, they're gonna do some more fencing if they put a modular out in the middle of that pasture. They're gonna be building some fence.
Yeah.
I would think, I would
I
think,
think that's.
They don't want to move the existing fence.
but I can't kick them for that.
Well, that's why that line hits there instead of being moved 10 or 15 feet west.
I'm good with it. They've been there a long time.
Yeah.
Well, that one matter.
no, because they're creating a new property line.
And it was only 19 feet instead of 25 feet on that.
Correct.
Because this was all one piece of property.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there was no,
No problems with that fence, or no, yeah.
Right, that was.
did you ever
That fence
bring that
wasn't the boundary line.
to the
for a while.
planning commission to see what their thoughts were on those setbacks as far as that 50 feet? Because I still think it's,
Variances, right?
Pardon?
We usually don't do that with variances.
I
No.
understand that, but we
No.
wouldn't have to do the variance if we changed it from 50 feet to go through the process and make it 20 feet. I mean,
They're still under the same position that if you have a case-by-case basis with something like this, it's better than just an over view of the whole county,
and why is that?
just for the sake of complaints, basically.
And some fit, and especially when they're all within the same property owner's property, it just, you know, it just
Right.
saves headaches and grief and
But I think Commissioner Candelaria is saying change it to 20.
I'm
Yeah.
saying reduce it.
instead of 25, have it 20.
Well, it's 50 right now, correct?
For residence to residence.
But if you reduced it, we would eliminate a lot of these variances.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even have
But these
to come.
variances come as case-by-case basis. They're not always, a property like this has been created and then something changes within it,
I
then,
understand that, and I guess that's my point, is just because you don't want to move a fence line doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't comply with that just because you don't want to move it. If we're going to stay there, then it should be 50 feet. You're creating a new boundary. My point is if we go through the process to change it to 20 feet, it would have been 45 feet, doesn't matter. 25 feet, doesn't matter. The 19 feet, you could move that property line just a little bit and change a small fence. I guess, I don't understand what they're saying. Don't change it. 50 feet is a big area.
I think the point is you got all these people moving in from the west, from the cities, and you start putting them all closer and closer together. They get close as they can as it is. There's just going to be more and more complaints, more and more calls to the sheriff. We get more and more calls all the time about
So then are you
neighbors.
saying that we should keep it at 50 feet and not accept this variance?
The variance is a case-by-case basis. It's not,
Right, I
mean,
understand
that's-
that, but it's a new property line being established, correct?
correct.
New
Okay.
property lines, old structures, yeah. Well, and
Old structures, an existing fence line, and it's family to family.
But it's not always gonna be family to family.
Correct. That's why each variance is a case-by-case basis request. You know, if we had 5 or 10 of these a month, then it might be something that needs to be looked at. But every one that we brought in this year has always been something different. It's not like you could even categorize why they happened and what. And we've had, what, maybe 6 or 7?
I don't know, I can't give you that number, but I'm just saying, there again, why the 50 feet?
Why 20?
Exactly. I'm just saying, why don't we look at it?
50 feet was, so basically then you're 100 feet apart and you can hopefully get along and you don't have your dogs fenced clear over the property line, because you can. You don't have your outdoor barbecue with its big bright light that bothers the neighbors. We get complaints all the time, and it's only gonna get worse if you cram them together. Is all I'm saying.
Okay, so then I would say we need to keep the 50 feet. Because it's just a boundary adjustment. Right now, they're just creating a separate piece of property,
Correct.
or 2 separate pieces of property.
I'm thinking this is an interesting conversation between the two.
Well, if it's a
No, I
variance
know, I'm
for a
serious.
specific reason, I'm in, and I'm not,
Yeah.
I don't want to see anybody have to move these fences either, but, and these buildings, this stuff has been there for as long as I've been around.
well,
or
the
probably
one
farther, but-
building that's 20 feet is a corral, is an enclosed corral. It's not even a residence.
That's
so
it's a
it's an
covered,
outbuilding.
it's a covered
arena.
corral.
Right.
And
so
it's
an out-
19 instead of 25.
Right, so it's an outbuilding, it's not a home, so I can give more credence to that, where if it were a residence and then you narrowed it down to that and say, well, what if they sell that 5 acres over there, somebody builds right on the other side, but it's an outbuilding, it's a covered arena, covered corral, so I can live with that a bit more, but then you go back to the argument, then why do we have these distances? And I think you explained that rather well, so that in the building of houses and developments and developing property, you give space enough so that somebody doesn't build right on your backside. I mean, 100 feet ain't that far, really. I mean, 100 feet's not that far
No.
when you're talking house to house. And
But I bet you the majority of the people in the country live a lot closer than that. I mean, I lived in a subdivision.
in subdivisions in towns,
Yeah.
absolutely, lots and stuff. Why, hell, yes, you're a lot closer than that.
I think they're gonna separate themselves. I think you minimize these variances for this 19 feet, 25 feet. I think we ought to look at it and say, why the 50 feet? Why not 20? Why not 25?
Well, you could get creative with the property boundary and do an oval bump out around the corral. I mean, but that's kind of ridiculous to start jumping around 3 and 4
Right,
feet
and I'm
and
not-
triangles and trapezoids
And
to,
I'm not saying that, I'm just saying.
but that's how you would circumvent a variance for this particular property. Right there, you would do a triangle,
Jog out and-
and you'd cut off the bottom corner there on the north-south fence line, and you'd do a little half oval around the corral, and you'd meet all your distances, but that's a whole lot of extra work to have that type of a survey and the assessors to deal with that.
Commissioner, you make a motion to change it to 20 and I'll second you.
Well, I mean, what is the process?
gonna fit everything 19.
And we still need a variance.
You're right.
What is the process to change that? If they make themselves 50 feet or 100 feet, it doesn't matter. I think the 50 feet
Change
is
the land
just
use code.
too far, is too big. And obviously, we wouldn't be looking at this variance if it wasn't.
Well, we've asked planning and zoning 2 or 3 times that you've asked, and they've come back with the same answer. There's a
Because we
process.
don't want to deal with complaints?
There's a process for a case-by-case basis. They feel that it's appropriate for the county in general.
They're having their next board meeting Thursday, right?
Yes.
Correct. I mean, I can't argue for you, so if you want to discuss it with them, I'm out of,
Discuss it with them Thursday night.
I can't bring up
You're
any,
more than welcome
any
to come
new
to the meeting.
information on your behalf. You'd have to do that yourself.
Fair enough.
Okay. So as now, we'll leave it for the variance request.
Correct.
Are we gonna sign this request, or do you wanna put it off until, after planning and zoning?
I mean, how urgent is this?
Urgent.
Fairly
How
urgent.
urgent is this?
The modular's built and sitting somewhere in a parking lot waiting
But
to
the
be delivered.
modular's going clear out here on the
Yeah,
Mhm.
5.96 acres?
it's
But
going,
still isn't urgent.
Why can't we just vote on it and then move forward with your request about the 20 feet or the...
you can't change the land use code in the next,
No. I
45
understand that.
days.
There's a process, and I get that. We have to go through that process, and I'm fine with that.
I think you should hire someone from Texas to write your land use
Oh my
code.
gosh.
we do have some extra cash, right? Do we have extra cash disposable?
Well, let's see what happens. I move we grant the variance.
Now, wait, is that the exemption resolution is not the variance? We've got two things going on.
We have two
You've got 2 things.
We've got an exemption resolution 2995E, and then we also have a variance request for a property, for a setback,
Yes.
variance request. for a
Correct,
setback.
for all the existing structures.
Yeah.
This chairman, something else.
I would need to make your vote.
I move that we grant the variance request and the exemption resolution P-29-95E on property owned by Jetson and Virginia
There's not
McKinley.
even a variance request here.
He presented.
The
it to
variance
you.
came up today.
I'm gonna have to go back to ranching. It's a lot easier than this.
It's too confusing.
Am I, is it
Yes,
okay the
so-
way that I stated it? or-
I'm fine with it.
Attorney Shack.
I guess, here.
You made a
here's what I
motion
have
for both items.
Is that it really should be on our agenda, and it should be posted for the variance. Can this be done next week for the variance?
The discussion can be, the variance can't be. It has to go through
Yeah.
the process, but you can certainly get on the agenda and discuss it.
The
But you said
variance goes
This
with,
variance came about just now.
it
or
came
today.
in this morning with the plat.
Because Ernie's office just finished the plat, right?
We just got the plat from Ernie, and then we had to
Mid-morning this morning.
get back with him to find out what the exact distances were, because
And
they're
you found
not,
out that the
they're not
distances
shown.
were a few feet off from, and so you needed the variance request. But this doesn't affect anybody else. I mean, this is all their own property.
Correct. And he did his best to make this all work.
45, 25, and 19, remember those numbers.
That's, yeah, three different.
That gets you into heaven.
Might get you a lottery ticket.
There are a lot of
after that.
here today.
I have a motion on the floor.
You won't hurt my feelings, Jim, if I voted against you today.
Good for the goose, good for the gander.
Well, I'm just trying to make,
This is a variance of convenience.
exactly, and that's what I'm.
This property owner has got this property laid out, and it's already there, and the fences are there, and they're now asking us to grant their boundary line, their property line, to follow an old fence deal.
I understand.
Which falls completely outside of our setback margins.
Correct.
It's, I mean, it's a family-owned, family operation, they're all related, and that probably makes it even more dangerous. Someday somebody's gonna sell one of these damn things, and they're gonna say, wait a minute, what do you mean I have to move my trailer 5 feet, the corner of my modular 5 feet off that fence line, so I'm just not sure
I'm looking like it is not going my way, but I would like to make another comment about a whole different,
yeah.
Two property owners, there was some abuse. I don't want to get into details. They had pond, and the father had given the son the land, and wanted to split the land, and wanted to put the fence right down the pond.
Down the middle of the pond?
Yeah, because so that both landowners, whoever was the new landowner to buy it,
Got the
Yeah.
beneficial use of it too.
but our government agency, not these guys, but some people before them said, no, we don't like your line. We're gonna make the line around the pond this way. So my point is why are we, you know, what made sense was putting the line right down the middle of the pond, and what makes sense to me is leaving the fence the way it is.
That's why I want to change the land use code, because it doesn't, the 50 feet.
But why
is
20
not-
feet? That's another arbitrary
But I
number.
think, Jim, we're gonna get in the same scenario here with existing structures, people doing things, where you can deal with this on an item-by-item basis and grant a variance to grant some of that stuff. I mean, that gives us, it gives us the freedom and the liberty to say, you know, in this case, this instance, it's not gonna affect anybody else. They're all within reasonable parameters of what we want. And in the next case basis, we might say, no, that ain't gonna work. They're gonna affect the property owner on the other side of that fence. They're gonna put it too close in, and they need to move it. So, it gives the commissioners discretion. I mean, it gives us discretion to look at, and some of these make sense, and some of them probably won't make sense.
Right.
And some of them will cause harm, and some of them will cause no harm. I don't see it harming anybody here by doing it.
And I think we should change the land use code, just so we know the process.
Know how to do it. There you go. There you go.
Well,
Whatever that is.
There are definitely some things in there that we need to look at and
Yeah.
change, in my opinion, and I realize there's a process to do that, and to go through the proper process is the way to do it, but this is just a convenience thing here.
Yeah.
I think it's government's job to inconvenience the property owners as much as possible.
I'm not going there. If we have it, why are we not following it? And specifically in this circumstance where it's just move the line to where it complies.
And they could do that.
That's
They-
what
they
I'm
could
saying,
move
is
the
it-
line to get around the variance.
Well, all they
But that, they'd only be doing that for the government to meet the government.
So then
Because
have-
they could easily just do the bubble, like Don was talking
Right.
about, and then, bubble it out 7 feet, and boom, they're within it. They don't have to ask for a variance. And so it does seem like we're causing them unnecessary work.
That's what I feel like. And the thing is this still, if you've ever been in there to buy a saddle or haven't worked on, it's already, I don't know what else is
A technical term.
Excuse my phraseology there. but
It was a cluster when it was made in
It's
the
a
60s.
hodgepodge, it's a hodgepodge. of
And
buildings.
Anyway, I have a.
This is what you don't wanna do with the fairgrounds going forward.
So, because I don't see the reluctancy of trying to change the land use code.
It's just, 20 feet or 80 feet or 63 feet, they're still arbitrary numbers. There's no magic number. So for 20 years, you've gone through this just to arbitrarily say, let's do 48 and see how that flies. They don't see that there's a benefit that outweighs the process and the aggravation. But they can tell you that.
I understand that, because these are arbitrary numbers. They're numbers that were picked out of somebody else's land use code, or some land use code advisor recommended 50-foot setbacks and 25-foot setbacks, and.
You got the vote.
Well, and these weren't done just like in a 1-week deal. When they did the land use code, it went through
Oh, yeah, that Liz.
a long process.
I understand that, but everything changes. With time,
Right.
everything changes.
I'm just saying
It's a
that the
living
arbitrary
document. It
numbers
can
were
change.
arrived on by a whole lot of input. It wasn't just something picked out of the air.
Correct. I understand that. I've been listening to that argument with the city's land use code.
Well, you can go to 7 feet and be a city if you
Well,
want.
there's a reason why there's 7 feet between the two homes.
Utilities.
Well, it's utilities, and you can get a vehicle through there.
Not with a fence.
You can get a vehicle through there.
Not with a fence.
Not with that
Yeah.
attitude.
And you haven't seen the Hummer that the new veteran has. You can get that.
You can't get through
You
there.
get that.
You know what? We could do a land use code that's 498 pages too, and we could call it City of
Okay,
Cortez.
so what,
Then we'll see how it takes
I
to
have a motion
change it.
that's not going so well.
We have, yeah. I think it's been forgotten in the motion. I'll try and remember it for you. Commissioner Sukla motion that the amendment to the exemption resolution P 29-95E be approved, as well as the setback variances of 45 feet, 25 feet, and 19 feet on setback variances. Property owned by Mr. Jetson and Virginia McKinney.
I'll second that.
There has been a motion and a second. Do I need to go through that whole thing again? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
I will be there Thursday night, because
Okay.
I just,
There's always room for discussion.
Sure.
There's always room.
Just discussion.
And I think there are valid things
If-
either way, both
So
ways.
Sherry
But-
Jane, can you get that on the
But
agenda, please?
anytime you start putting arbitrary.
Yes, I can.
All right.
We have a place for additional discussion.
And then,
We have a place
speaking
for
of,
additional discussion
I
at
mean,
the end.
what do you pick? So,
speaking of,
7 foot makes as much sense as anything. Gives you room enough to drive a vehicle between the property line and the building.
speaking of, planning department, the closing for the applications was Friday. Have you received
Oh,
obviously you've received all that are gonna come in by that deadline. So we need to get those to the commissioners so they can begin the review process to see who they wanna interview.
you're taking them to the planning commission first, right?
Thursday.
Yeah, we're gonna have them do an unofficial review,
You
just,
only sign this one. This is a variance.
Gonna be a fun night Thursday.
Oh.
you gotta sign here too, Keenan.
Yeah,
got
you
another
gotta-
one. Okay.
That's the
This is the-
amended
This is
exemption.
All of
amended.
us sign this, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. All three have to sign that.
Wearing me out.
It's not work, it's just something.
Well, put that back up there. Yeah. You had some other kind of a big cup of something here the other day, didn't you?
I haven't been able to finish it apparently.
It's a big old mug of something, I thought.
Ramen noodles. Oh,
You don't have to sign that one, but you do have to sign that.
It's almost, yeah, you get them, it's almost like a Route 44 in a cup.
Kim doesn't know
It
what's
may take a
going
little bit
on.
more than that, but we'll get it sucked in.
I'm like, I don't know what they're doing. Thank you, sir.
As long as you get all the minutes right.
I'm gonna have to go to the recording a few times for this one, I'm sure. Because I don't know what you guys are talking
Well, it only got derailed in 7 directions.
about. When is today? I don't know where you all went to lunch.
We went out to
You drank your lunch.
The medicine man.
we drank our lunch.
No, Lord, no, we don't do those martini lunches around here. We went down to the.
Picture
to the
these.
pot shop
did you?
instead.
Have it?
Dang, good call.
Went down to High John's joint.
Are you with me?
Okay, public comment, is that all, excuse me, planning, is that all you have for us?
Yes, sir.
As if it weren't enough.
That should cover it, I think, in several directions.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Yep.
When do you think you'll get us those copies of the people that are
Our applicants.
tomorrow, maybe?
By next Tuesday, after they look at them this Thursday?
We can let you look at them ahead of P and Z's meeting or Friday. I just figured if P and Z took a look at them, they could kind of categorize them, what they thought, just so
Yeah.
you guys had a little insight.
Well, that wouldn't bother me, but I want to make sure I see all 13.
Is that what you got, 13 of them, huh? Good, man,
Or you can look at them right after we're done.
that's as good a turnout as we've had for a
Oh, yeah.
committee or an application part, that's great,
And they're
that's
from
good,
all different
good,
backgrounds, directions, so it's a good.
good
Friday
bunch,
is
huh?
soon enough for me.
Putting 9 on the commission, but I told them.
So what is
Let's put
that?
them all on there.
We only have 5 now, but it was originally set up for 7 or 9? 7? So 8. But the alternate doesn't get to vote.
It's kind of like Puerto Rico.
So, I mean, maybe if there is enough interest, maybe we do look at the 7.
I'll tell you, the bigger you get those
Yeah.
committees, the more difficult they have, and
Oh, well, that's
the
true.
larger they are, the more
That is true.
encumbered they become.
The meetings last longer, and then they,
More monitors.
Yeah, unless the planning commission comes to me and says, hey, man, we need some more people on that board, I'm not interested.
Don't hold your breath for that.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't either.
Then,
if I
then
were
we
them.
should also change that. I mean, really, why do we have it there as
Well,
7 if it's not, if,
Correct.
Well, it's like all boards, like our fair board is up to, there's a top limit number of people you can have on there. I guess that allows you to find a workable number
We either
within
need to
those
find
parameters, those
or
numbers,
get
a
your
workable
aide to
number.
train them on their own.
I'm not sure why when they created the planning commission, they put up to 7 members, is that correct?
because that's probably a span of
The only
control.
county we found out.
Span of
that
control
actually
is
does the same
5 to 7.
thing. It's San Miguel.
I couldn't argue that.
That's real.
Well, that's in the actual ICS chart, so your span of control is 5 to 7. You should never go over 7. 5 is optimum.
Where they're operating at optimum.
Yep.
and we're picking 2, is that
I
correct?
was actually talking to his administrative assistant, his
And
name,
Joel,
basically.
Joel requested
And
to go
she's like,
from alternate
I'm
to
putting
permanent.
this for him, I'll put together some documents and get them to you.
So we're losing 2
And I said,
permanent
okay,
members.
and I haven't heard back from her, so I should.
Oh,
So you could
gotcha.
have.
And he's been there for a year anyway, right?
Correct. He started.
So he's kind of up to
Who are
speed.
the 2 commissioners that are going off?
So, I agree.
Bob and Kelly?
If there's.
So we're picking 1 out of that 13, or 2?
Or
2,
What do
okay.
you think about
Okay.
including the new lodgers tax people in there?
Okay.
Same thing, open
All right.
laws, blah, blah, blah.
Thank you, planning department. Public comment.
Always interesting when you 2 show up.
Yeah, there's always some action.
Yeah, way to be, Don.
Do we have any public comment this afternoon?
You want to discuss about being over in Europe? Isn't that where you've been?
Viva Europa.
Oh. Same thing. Same difference.
Same thing. Okay, hearing none, I would hear a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Then moving second to adjourn this meeting, all in favor? All right.